restore your dead to life, but perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast that drinks and knows things. I'm your host, Luke, also known as Donatello tonight, and we are recording on not 10/28/22, not several other times that we tried to record before Halloween. Things happened, life happened, and we're here recording on November 4th, 2022. We realized this episode finale came out well over a week ago, but hopefully we can enjoy the finale, chit chat, and do a kind of a full season recap here tonight. So, like I said, we are talking about season 1, episode 10 of House of the Dragon, called The Black Queen. I am joined in house by Gertrude of House Condescension.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. It's a little toasty down here.
It's pretty hot.
For a November night. It's warm. And what are you drinking?
I have some White Russians tonight.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Very nice. I am drinking tonight something that was brought down by a friend of the show, Mikey Two Hearted, brought down a nice 4-pack from White Oak Brewing. I'm going with We're Markin'.
Yeah,
English-style brown porter.
You might also know him as John.
A.K.A. John by some people on the panel. So that's what I'm drinking. I'm also joined here in studio by a Gumby.
Gumby, is he?
Glendog Gumby.
Hey, how we doing?
Doing all right. What are you drinking today?
I am a little hot in this suit, but I'll make it work. I'm drinking a Civil Life through a straw, so I'm sure.
Go ahead and shove it up your nose right now and show it off. There you go. We've all missed this. We've all missed it.
This is life right now.
This is life right now for the finale. And we are also joined via satellite dish. Sly of House Potter. What's up, buddy?
Welcome to the podcast that snitches and keeps. We're your number one Quidditch qualifying support channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And what are you drinking tonight?
I went with a little callback to episode 1, a little G&T, gin and tonic, with Pickney Bend gin in there, some navel strength.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, that's a cool place out there in New Haven, Missouri.
Yep.
Check it out if you ever find yourself in central Missouri. If this is the first time you've ever caught one of our streams, a wild one to jump in on, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Please hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend, subscribe on their phone, take your grandma's phone, subscribe on her phone, and just make sure that you put it on repeat so all the videos get watched full time through. If you're a returning customer, welcome back. And we're sorry for who we are, but here we are. And we are glad that you're back as well. And cheers to you for keeping up with us, even though we delay some more sometimes. So this show and all the shows at thepodcastthat.com and Drawbridge Media are produced with the love and support of our wonderful Imaginary Legion patrons. You can learn more about our Imaginary Legion wild tiers, reward tiers at patreon.com/stayimaginary. And thank you to our recent, we've had a couple new patrons join us, so thank you all for that.
Cheers.
We will have more stuff coming up soon, which we'll probably talk about here shortly. But before we do that, let's talk about this 59-minute long episode, which aired, like I said, a couple weeks ago now, October 23rd of 2022. It was directed by Greg Yaitanis and written by Ryan Condal. Gertrude, can you tell us that episode description?
While mourning a tragic loss, Rhaenyra tries to hold the realm together, and Daemon prepares for war.
Ooh, let's see if those things happen or not. And there's Direpot. Hi, Direpot. Why don't you go over here and lay down? Why don't you go do that? So we are going to kick this episode off with a credit sequence. Glendog.
Yeah. So credits: Matt, Emma, Reese.
Pretty consistent top billing. Seems like moving forward at this point.
Right. Especially Padman's out, the Padmaster.
Yep.
So
But he was still on the last one, right? Even though he was just
dead.
laying there.
yeah.
But there you go. I didn't notice anything. I can't say I pay attention too closely to the credits here.
There was nothing.
There's less change than there used to be.
There's
there was nothing that I
there's
caught.
blood and stuff and sigils and Valyria or whatever you call it.
All right, so I'm gonna delay this episode. Let's do this next week. You guys want to put it off a little bit more?
Yep.
Right.
All
I
right.
tried hard
I'd
to
love to.
today to do it.
Abby definitely considered delaying again today. We were close. It almost happened. Glendog, can you tell us about our first scene?
Yep. Our story continues on Dragonstone as Rhaenyra finds Lucerys by the battle table, where he expresses his unworthiness of the heir to Driftmark. Princess Rhaenys arrives on Dragonback to meet with Rhae and Day to discuss Viserys' death and the Green's applications.
I really like this opening scene with Lucerys and Rhaenyra. Benj, I'm going to jump to you here because I think you have kind of a note on that conversation between those two, or a general comment at least.
Yeah, a bit. So it's a little bit towards the end of their conversation, but I appreciate the scene with Luke and this shot made me appreciate the time jumps, I think, more than anything, because we were able to see Rhaenyra when she was younger, when she was younger and everything, and saw that she wasn't perfect. She was the hothead, plucky, spunky, upstart kind of chick. And she's grown into this mature, reasonable adult woman, And so I just hearing that line and when she goes, "Oh, I wasn't perfect from all times," it's kind of where you get that sense of if Game of Thrones had done this with, say, I don't know, Tyrion or Jamie. It's like, okay, you have to trust what they're saying is the truth compared to we've actually been able to see this. So it was just a nice. It brought full circle the jumps and everything.
But you're gonna have to be very motion heavy. Go ahead, Glenn. I mean, Glumby.
With my note, or should I?
Yeah,
agree
go.
with
I
what
think
he said?
either way, segue.
So yeah, I think I feel bad for Luke, and not the guy in the show, but a guy sitting over there.
I
with
feel
the-
bad sitting
it's-
across from
it's-
Glumby all the
What a
time.
terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
What a terrible position.
I just feel bad for Luke, the guy on the show, because big shoes to fill, especially with Corlys on the fritz. He feels unworthy and stressed, and not to mention embarrassed when they were back at King's Landing. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is
You're
the
wrong.
first. Okay. This is the first. This is the first scene since they've been back at King's Landing when they had the big powwow or whatever. And I think
Correct.
back then, he was just definitely embarrassed. Everyone's coming to tell him "Oh, you're a bastard." Can't prove
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah, after the dinner scene, right, where they got kind of sent off. This is the first time we've seen him, and yeah, I mean, I can understand where, I mean, he's got to be questioning everything. Even, I mean, his brothers seemed to figure out the strong thing a long time ago, and he's just kind of rolled with it. I think it wears on him, but I think he just has to go with it, because if he doesn't, he's basically gonna be killed.
Different type of people who just don't let it affect them, and people who can't let it not
Mm-hmm.
And Luke is certainly the person that it just eats at him.
Yeah, and I think, Glenn, that's a really great point. You know, talking about trying to fill the sea snake. I mean, literally, probably the most talented sea commander we've ever heard of in any of these stories.
He shits his pants whenever he gets
Right.
close
He's
to a
like,
boat or something
this is
like that.
not the job for me. Like, I'm not going to turn it down and be disrespectful, but I'm going to go and tell you right now, I'm a lot like, this is not a natural thing for me. But I think she does a good point of like, I had to learn this too. You know, like and I love when they have a very good parent-child moment when he goes, well, I'm not perfect like you. Like that moment when the kid is, you know, still sees you as this paragon of what being an adult is, and they don't really know the flaws of her like we do. I mean, they've heard rumors and things, but that doesn't affect what kind of mother she is to them, right? Like whatever these rumors are, whatever, you know, that's fine. But she's always been an incredible mother to them, and that's what he sees. And it's hard for him to get past that and see her now, comparing himself to what he would have expected her to be at his age.
Right. I love the triple kiss she does on his forehead. Like, there are lots of, you know, just little tiny emotions or things that, you know, we talk about, like they're acting with their face, whatever. That right there is such a mom thing to do, I think. Just that, like, triple little, like, it's not just one little, like, I don't know. It was sweet to me.
Did you also notice in that the way she was holding his face was exactly the same way that Daemon Targaryen held her face when they first, like...
Yeah.
So that's where she learned.
It was like a true love thing, like a symbol, I think, that they threw in there. But because it was literally like left hand on the cheek, thumb up, one finger pointed. Like it was very explicit.
They went to the same school, I think.
They went to the same school of hand gestures.
I also thought it was really funny. I feel like these Westerosi folk, I don't know, maybe Valyrian, they are very smart, right? They're very progressive because they are definitely being taught that new math that all those parents like to get mad of. You know, like, how come we're not just carrying ones anymore? What the fuck? It takes me 9 hours to solve 9 plus 10. What the hell? She was 4 and 10. Or 10 and 4. However she says it. She gets the new math.
10 and 2.
She gets it.
If you're driving.
She's separating out the
only if you're an amateur driver.
tens. I loved it.
In fairness, that's a George thing.
No, it's a new math thing. Seriously.
Yeah,
just wait.
Just
kidding.
I get it.
Somebody said it earlier.
Since well, no, it was in Game of Thrones and everything, and it's in the book series itself. That's how they describe age-wise.
And I'm gonna be really political and cause a divide. I am here for new math, so stay out of the chat.
Are you excited to see new math?
Yes. New math is better.
All right, drink for that inside joke. So, yeah, really, really great scene between those two. Are we ready to kind of move over to, she kind of gets pulled, called into the room that, Princess Rhaenys is here, and she needs to see
They get
Ray and
by
Day.
some Knights Guard or
Some guy, don't worry about it.
I can't remember his name even. Knights.
Yeah. But they go in, and Rhaenys enters the chat.
Viserys is dead. Just come right out with it. Just like a Band-Aid. It doesn't make it any easier. There's no, I just agree with this totally. And it might just be because I'm personally feeling guilty about some things that have happened over the last few weeks that I've done. But you know what? Rhaenys, I hear you, girl. I see you. I agree.
I really like her in this scene. I like Rhaenys a lot lately in general, and throughout this episode I do too, even when there's questionable things, but we'll get back to that. Benji, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, oh no, you're fine. So to the point of Rhaenys kind of putting it right out there, you have to remember when she walks in, Daemon and Rhaenyra are there like, oh, we're like, they're expecting them, basically her to tell them, oh, Corlys is dead, Luke's now that's what they're expecting to hear. So they're out of their mouth, they're like, oh, how's Lord Corlys? Our thoughts are blah blah blah. Viserys is dead. So it's not like, it's kind of like, get my husband's name out your mouth. Your dad's dead. It was kind of one of those.
My husband's name out your mouth.
Oh, don't make me laugh.
And also the British are coming.
I honestly did not mean that. I honestly did not mean that.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's just. But yeah, so that's really where her bluntness comes from. She's like, no, bitch, Yeah, this ain't my game. This is shit you gotta know.
Well, and
you
that's
know,
like the best of the news I have for you. Like this
Yeah.
is where we're starting.
Your dad's dead, and it gets
There's
worse.
good news and bad news.
Like that
What
is
do you wanna
the
hear
highlight
first?
of what I have to. Like that's not
There's
even a nice
bad
way to-
news and worse news.
It's the highlight of the
free.
things.
Just say it in a good way.
Okay, get this, Glenn. Viserys, the
Funny
king.
story.
You're gonna laugh when you hear this.
Right.
He's dead. Oh yeah, and also your nephew. They crowned him
Craziest
in
thing.
front of everybody.
Are you kidding me? That's terrible news. Why are you laughing about that?
Yeah, like I don't know. I liked it. It was cool. Oh, but you guys were right. Sorry, I guess I'll jump further on the scene. I'm about
That's
to do
okay.
it. Jumping. I was like, why aren't these people just being like, yeah, totally. What's his name? I will bow down to you can be king, and then be like, hey, Rhaenyra, like they just did this to not die. That's your loyalty because immediately, Rhaenys gets questioned on
Oh, why she didn't kill them all.
why would you kill him? Why are you alive? How did this happen? Like there was immediate
Because
suspicion.
Daemon immediately jumps to, well, they killed him. Like, you don't know
Yeah,
how they
and that-
died.
I was like,
and
how
you
does
got
anybody
away, and you
actually-
saw this happen.
How does anybody? I had said last time. How does anybody actually think that he didn't just die? Did we see him? Like he was holy, literally. Like I want to give you the right Weasley tin, but I can't. Anyways, it's okay.
Right.
The holy one.
Yeah, the holy one.
Holy
That's
Right.
what I was gonna guess, but I didn't want to do it. And
Yep.
but you
You
guys
have
are
a
like,
50-50 shot.
it's right. You guys were like, but it's just is so convenient that he dies right after they leave. And you were right. That's exactly how it is completely taken about his death specifically.
Yeah.
You
I
figure,
mean,
too, but just they also were just shown that they've been basically keeping him drugged up and addled on fucking Percocets and
Molly.
well,
Percocet.
Butrol.
Molly Percocets.
He was more like morphine at that
yeah,
point.
well, I know.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it
don't-
is
Milk
a
of the
topping.
poopy?
It's yeah. But yeah,
Milk
so I
of
mean,
the
it's
population.
a fair jump when all of a sudden he goes off the drugs and he's feeling better, and now he's dead. Oh, come on, that's sus.
Right. Yeah.
Never mind.
Immediately. The next day. Like that night. Right. It's.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, we're not going to get into it really, but like
It
the
leans-
last
it leans
hurrah
a
is
lot
a
of
very
credence to-
common like thing in the dying process.
And then
Like,
Sure,
that's-
but at the same time, when they see the outcome of this,
yeah,
this
no,
feels very contrived.
absolutely. I agree.
And it also gets to the point of, why didn't Rhaenys just burn them all right there? And I liked her point, and it's kind of how I
Like
felt about it. This isn't her war to start.
Yeah.
She doesn't know where she falls on this. I
Yeah,
mean, she
I
knows
mean-
her feelings, but she can't make, which we'll touch more on as we go through the
Yeah.
episode.
I get that, but she had all that collateral damage of the sacrificial.
That's, yes, like everybody else
that,
fucking died.
I mean, she had
Just
all the
watching
opportunity
this-
to take all these sacrificial hams out, and she didn't do it. Is what
She
Glenn
took
said.
out some, but that's that's not nothing, right?
It's not nothing. That's true. A lot of people fell in that hole. That's for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other thoughts right here? Pretty good scenes, I thought. And I guess right here through the news, that is next scene. That's kicking off into the next scene here.
So the next scene is Rey feels her baby coming. As Daemon plots for war, Rey calls for Jace and Luke. She orders Jace to hold court. Daemon takes Jace to show him the true meaning of loyalty. Rey delivers the babe.
So I want to hold off on my own Daemon thoughts. I'm going to let you guys talk about that in a little bit, but I really so right at the end of the last scene, Rhaenyra hears this information and immediately has a contraction, right? It's very stress induced. The baby is coming, right?
Sure. Yep.
And so she's going to deal with that, and Daemon gets right on the, hey, let's start solving problems. Let's start this war thing. However you want to frame it, that's fine. But I really like how during this really rough spot that Rhaenyra has, she has the wherewithal to call in both of her sons
Oh, boys.
to give them the information, and she makes it very clear to Jace that you are my heir. Like, no matter what happens, whatever titles we can get, you are the one in line, because she doesn't know if she's going to survive. Like, this is not how this should be going. This is not a healthy start to this labor process, and she's aware of that.
Well, she's done
But
it
she's not she's not
yeah.
telling him that's the reason she's saying this. But that's what I felt like she's making it clear to him, that like no matter what, you have to carry this torch because it's yours too, and you're the guy. So I liked that she was able to work that in along with all of the other things that she had going on,
Right.
which was a lot. Glendog, I'm gonna let you jump in.
Yeah,
here.
I just get the Rogue Prince vibes from Damon. Like, it kind of reminds me, and I hate that I'm saying this right now, but like Tom Brady and Giselle just got a divorce. It kind of seems like that, like based off of, well, Tom Brady keeps coming in and playing football every year, and apparently that was a fracture in their relationship. That it's just kind of the same thing where she's having a baby, she is struggling, and all he gives a shit about is, this war, potential war, or, and I think he enjoys it too.
Coming
Like
to you last.
he seems like
I love this analogy.
he ignores whatever's going on, because Rhaenyra is screaming his name, and he's just like ignoring it the whole time and talking to these, 3 or 4 guys around the table.
And then Jace comes in, right? One of the final things that Rhaenyra says to Jace is nothing happens until I'm able to come out and
Right.
do my job.
With my leave.
Right. And I mean, you got to give credit to Jace because he
Absolutely.
tries here, but at the same time, Damon's not going to get shown up by Jace. Like he'll kind of back off when it's like Rhaenyra, but I think here, like, he's not going to get shown up by 1, a kid, 2, somebody that's not Rhaenyra.
So I fundamentally think he does change tact though after Jace gives his information, because he was already sending people out, and then it turned into just sending ravens after
Yeah.
that. So sending messages as opposed to doing true action.
He
So-
heeded the warning. He
Right,
heeded
that's-
the order.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
go ahead, Bench. No, you go ahead. I think we can work into where you were
Yeah,
going with
so-
it. I'm coming back to
so,
yours,
yeah.
I promise.
I'm fighting with AK in my head right now. Don't worry
I know.
about it.
I know.
Yeah, so, like-
She's right though. She's right though.
Yeah, as Damon, pulls Jace aside, he tells him we got to decide to test true loyalty, and he gives the Kingsguard an ultimatum. Basically, admit the queen is, the queen, and you live. Admit the king is the king, and you die quickly. Admit the queen's the queen, and turn your cloak or turn your back. Later on, you will die screaming. And it's like, yeah, that's an easy choice right here. Either one. Obviously, A or B are the easy choices, because it's like you take the honorable thing of however you feel. If you feel that what's as fuck is the actual true rightful, say it out. But probably not the smartest plan. So it's like an easy choice. But that scene was very cool, and Jace seeing the cold-heartedness, the not bloodlustiness, but like the cold-heartedness of his stepfather, and seeing how you have to be at certain times to get results was a good lesson for him to learn.
Would you use the word ruthless in loyalty?
Thank you. Yes,
That's kind of how I felt about it. Like, because he says, I'm going to show you the true meaning of loyalty. And yeah, he does use intimidation here by the end, but he gives them the option, right? He
Yeah.
gives them the option. And I like that he shows them a lot of respect leading into that, too. Both Kingsguard, he asks, when were you, brought onto the Kingsguard? They both kind of give their story. And I thought that was a really great move. And it wasn't until after he kind of gives the ultimatum that, here comes Caraxes, right? Like, we're really going to let you know that, like, no, this is it. Like, either you're on our team or we're not letting you go back to the other team. Like, that's not an option right now. That can't happen, because that, more than almost anything they could offer back, is going to give more legitimacy to the other team. Like, and they know that. And I don't know how they really feel on it, but they don't know the information. They don't know that King Aegon, at least we didn't see them hear that information.
Fair.
He starts with, do you remember who King Viserys named as heir? And they both say Princess Rhaenyra. And so, like, to them, that's just the information.
There you have it.
But then he kind of gives them, okay, well, you're going to re-swear your loyalty to her. And if you don't, and you want to go follow this usurper, which in some ways could be the first time they've heard anything about there
Right.
being a crowning of
Oh,
Aegon.
there's options here.
Whoa, yeah.
Let's think about this.
So
Shit, there's a
I
dragon?
think
Never mind,
was
no.
in the room when Rainey.
it's likely. I mean, it's
I think
likely
Will
they
was in
should
the
have been
room.
there, but
Yeah.
it just I didn't see them specifically.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's definitely
it, yeah.
definitely possible. Makes most sense that they would be there, at least outside the door. So, Abby, you've got a bunch of big thoughts on this one.
And I have
And
more.
I know, I'm sure.
I'll try to keep it quick and concise because I'm really not trying to.
And I'm
going to
revisit my Damon thoughts later in the episode. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So I feel like right here, this is a cost to Rhaenyra that like so many women, they know, and it's a price that only women pay.
Mr. Mom did it.
I don't. Sure. Okay. But like,
Schwarzenegger did.
it's such a steep price, and the male counterparts like not only do they undervalue it, but it's also seen as like unworthy or like she's off there doing that, so we got to pick up the slack. Like, I don't think it's valued. Like, I think it's seen as a hindrance, and she's been preparing for like this specific moment her entire life for what was it, 14 years? Because she says when she was 14, like she wanted to be good enough to even be considered as an heir. She finally gets it. Now she's however years old. And at the very moment, like the precipice, the peak of the mountain, it's happening. And she's in labor. Like, it is not something you can ignore. It's not like something you can power through. You have to address that first. And she's just ready for that fight. And that now she's just doing the most female thing, which I just don't think is very valued by these men, especially Daemon, which, sorry, AK, I really don't give a shit if he has PTSD or not. Like, she is the person that is literally like in turmoil right here because he could have been calling these orders by her. He could have been with her by
Was he
her.
gonna shout him out the room?
Yeah. Have you ever birthed a dead baby?
I mean, I have not.
I have.
I-
And I would have loved to not be there on the bathroom floor by my fucking self. So, like, this scene for me is really hard to watch. And, like, a lot of personal experience. Like, it's unexcusable to be that close and not give a fuck. Like, to me. And I know that that's me taking on a lot of, like, my own trauma or whatever. But you like, it just was disgusting to me, and he gets worse later on, and that's fine. I like you spoke about earlier, she does call her boys, and I think sons are often like the only men that truly respect a woman, like see her as powerful as she is. Not all men, but a lot of times, like the person who thinks you are like as strong as you truly are is going to be your son.
I think that can go the other way too. There's a lot of sons who it's one of the only women they disrespect because they
true.
probably earned it their own way.
Probably true.
I'm not.
Probably true. But
Our
then
mom's
I
a
love,
saint. She's awesome.
yeah, and I love Jace too. Did you hear what I said? Like, even as they try to like scoot him out the room or whatever, he's
He
like,
stands up.
yeah, I loved it.
He holds his ground, and that's a pretty big moment for him
And
for sure.
it definitely seems like the other men on this council are very like uncomfortable or questioning, like at least judging. Are we really just sitting here doing this like while she's screaming for you? Like, you can see some eyes. So anyways, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and I think Rhaenyra, like, there is like a part where like the Maesters or whatever, like, well, that's not possible. Like, the baby's not due yet, or whatever they say, and she's like, it's fucking coming.
It is coming,
Literally
baby.
coming.
Yeah, like I know this feeling like pretty damn well. This is what, number 6? Yeah, I think I know. All right, let's
Move along.
table
move
some of these other
along,
thoughts, and
move
I'm
along.
sure other things will reopen as
They'll
we
come
go.
back.
Glendo, take her away.
Next one. All right. A funeral ceremony takes place.
Oh, I guess we didn't really finish the fact that its birth
Here we go
stillborn
again.
and seems very misshapen, right? And it's
Yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe. Okay.
It's just no, I would say misshapen. It's just 17 weeks. I mean, it's not going to be.
I think. Well,
Like the
That's-
They
head's
said it,
more
but-
developed.
is
than-
it? Is that what they said? I don't know. That
I
baby
thought it
is
was
definitely bigger.
I thought it was
than,
17 weeks till.
which would still be about 17
No.
weeks.
No.
40 minus 17 is
So
fine.
anyway, there's other evidence that I'm pulling from that there's something else wrong with this baby,
Okay.
potentially. So,
Cool.
similar to other dead babies we've potentially seen in the show before. So she births it, clearly dead. She wraps it up. We see Daemon walk outside, and he has a moment out there. She does it all herself. She pushes her aides away multiple times, saying, "Get away from me, like, don't touch me, get off me." And then she does it all herself. And then she wraps the dead baby up herself as well. Like, she's doing it all single-handedly, right? All of it.
And this was the one they were going to name Visenya, right?
I believe so. I don't know if it was really said on the show, but that is
I
the
can't
case.
remember either, or maybe
I
it was like
don't-
something that I heard. Or
Yeah, I believe that is the
somebody saying-
case,
yeah.
but I don't remember ever hearing it even like being mentioned in the like 2 episodes ago. Would have
Is
been
that
the only
a
time.
boy's name?
No, it's a girl, Visenya.
I really thought that baby was a boy.
Vincenya. Vincenze.
I don't think we saw it well enough to.
I mean, maybe that's why I really thought the baby was a boy. So, like, because I even, like, peeked it, and I was like, wait, is that? And rewound it, I was like, yep, that's a boy. Had a baby, it's a boy.
Yeah, Phil H knows what I'm talking about. There you go.
Cool.
But so now I think we've addressed that dead baby on the table, and let's go outside.
Are we ready to move on to
Let's-
the next scene?
Let's move along like the All-American
Well,
Rejects.
maybe I should read that scene like I was doing. But anyways, a funeral ceremony takes place along the bluffs of Dragonstone. Sir Eric Cargill, formerly of the Brothers Cargill, arrives and offers Viserys' crown to Rhaenyra and pledges fealty. The majority bend the knee to their new queen.
So they end up doing a baby pyre, right? They burn the baby, and there's kind of a quiet moment. And anyone have thoughts on that before our good buddy Ron shows up? I saw your note. Do you want to know the mnemonic that I'm using for it?
What?
Rhaenyra has E,
Yeah.
and Aegon has A.
Or
Okay.
Alicent.
Wow.
F.A.
Or Alicent, but Aegon, Aeric, think of A. It
Cool.
sounds
Erac.
similar. So anyway, use that mnemonic. Might work
Perfect.
for you. Might work for you.
New math.
New
math is a good thing.
We had a baby eats a boy. Yeah, do you accept the charges? Nope. Oh, it was Bob. They had a baby. It's a boy.
I literally just said that.
That's awesome. I didn't hear you say it.
I know.
I didn't hear you say it.
Yeah,
Nice
thanks.
job, John, in the chat.
John got it.
Thanks for
I have-
actually listening to me.
Sorry. My
There,
bad.
Mike.
So, our boy E shows up, right? And they immediately draw their swords on him, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!"
Easy Gus.
Easy Gus's, like, same team. And he walks in and immediately swears his oath, right? And that was
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought it was a pretty cool moment. Hands over Viserys' crown. Benji, you got thoughts there?
I do. So I know it's fitting for Daemon to take the crown and be the one to crown Rhaenyra because it's, he's showing fealty and no hard feelings. Oh, here we go. It would have made more sense or more symbology or symbolism to have Eric actually be the one to crown her, such as Lord Coltrane, did for Aegon. It just, and I'm sure in the book wise, it's probably Daemon who does it, and it's probably accurate. I'm just saying, show wise and everything, it would have been a nice counterpoint view of another King's Guardsman queen crowning the queen, kind of thing. I just would have liked that over Daemon getting another moment in the fucking spotlight. It's just give some room, Matt. And I know.
So one reason they absolutely couldn't have Eric do it is because then you lose Kingmaker Cole's nickname. Like, he's literally has to be the one to do it, which I thought was stupid that he was the one that actually crowned him. It was just the fact that he killed a guy and at the table when they were deciding, last episode early in the Green Council
That's
room.
the guy.
That was when he becomes the kingmaker.
It said he
And-
was
Yeah.
6 and
I
70
understand
years
that.
old or something like
See?
that.
Yep.
That math
New
again.
math that
That
Yeah, no,
Abby
I
was
do
talking
understand
about.
it. I don't know, just cinematography, film school wise,
Just give me
it's
that
that
straw.
counterbalance mirrored image thing. And it's also, yeah, we get enough
Well,
Dayman.
that's family.
I mean, we get
I
it.
don't
He's a
think
good
it'll
character,
fit.
but
I don't think it's
So I guess
small
for-
bugging, but it's
for
not,
me, with Damon doing it, we've already seen some potential. Is he stepping on her toes, trying to rule for her things, right?
You
Like
ready?
that's what it looks like,
For
right?
me,
People can say that.
I really like corn.
and I disagree.
Backwards
Like
are?
I will say, I don't
Karen?
think he was. Like,
I don't. I'm saying I can see people saying that, but
I can
the
see people
fact
saying that.
the fact that he is the one
Can you
that
hear
was the
people say that?
Passover heir, and he's the one that decides, yeah, I'm not taking this for myself.
Right.
I am giving it to her. I think that's the message that's being sent, not just to, Eric doing it to match Cole. I get the cinematography thing on that, but it's something for her that he's
Yes.
saying, I am doing this, I am giving it to you, and for everyone else to see that he's not taking it for himself, because at this point he probably could.
He's such a
And-
narcissist.
Right, but this is one of those, hey, he does a good thing.
Everybody watch me do a good thing.
And here's the thing.
There's a
That
lot-
is,
there's meaning to it,
that
though.
is, I get it, but that's how I feel
episodes
about
ago,
everything.
we saw him do the exact same good thing. He helped Viserys back to the seat.
Yeah,
and
because
put his
everybody
crown on.
was watching. That is,
And I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Like,
Look at
I'm
me.
saying, yes. Yeah, it's a look at me. I'm being the
I'm
good
a really
boy.
good guy.
Yeah,
Look at how cool
I'm
loyal,
Daemon
I'm
is.
tough.
Wow. He's so cool.
I don't know. I have
Yeah.
real
No,
big problems with
I-
Damon.
I know you do,
I
and I'm not defending everything he's done.
I know.
But you're in a really dark spot with Damon,
he's
and I
kinda-
think
I
there
am.
are good spots for him here.
guess if you want to
He
leave.
had-
Oh,
he
here
had
we
his
go. Yeah, let's
piece of shit
ban
moment,
somebody.
so
Here we go.
Man.
on it. Now you got it.
let him in.
Report.
Fuck it. It's the last
What are
one.
they doing? Let's say they promote terrorism. Don't do that. Don't promote terrorism on our channel. See ya. Anyway, so let's not wear on the Damon thing too much still, because I think we'll get on.
Oh yeah.
We won't get to
there's
the
more.
end of it.
Sure.
It's just gonna be a roundabout every time.
Around the outside.
He's
around the
he might look
outside.
good now. He's gonna be a piece of shit sooner or later.
It ebbs and flows. Every other episode, every other scene, sometimes.
Yeah.
So the majority of the people there bend the knee, right? That's what you wrote down, Glad. Did you have another thought on that too?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much like the only one that doesn't is Rainey's, and
And the guards on the rocks, they were still standing there with their pikes. I was like, really? You can't just do like a quick kneel down and get back to your post? I
I
specifically
was wondering,
it's too
were
dangerous.
those Rainey's his guard, but that wouldn't make sense.
No,
So,
they were just like the pikemen up, guarding the rocks around the edge. And I was like, oh, we're making a big scene of Rainey's not doing it, and then these other jack-offs aren't doing it too. I just thought it was kind of silly.
Maybe they're probably the dumb ones.
Have you ever
But
tried kneeling on a boulder? It can
Hey,
be tricky.
it's real windy. They couldn't hear what was going on.
what?
Speak up.
No, but I think at this point, once E-Dog comes in, and then eventually she's crowned. It just doesn't seem real until the crown's on her head, and then everyone starts kneeling and stuff. Like, okay, now she's queen. Like, it's whenever Rhaenys came in the first time and was like, yeah, the king is dead. So she, naturally should have been like, okay, well then I'm queen. Cool. But now she gets the crown on her head. I think that's just the big step into
Would you say it's the crowning moment?
the crowning of the moment. That now she's queen,
From this moment.
and now it happens.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Next scene?
Hmm?
All right. Glumby, take it away.
Columbia. So the battle table is illuminated. The Black Council speaks of allegiances and declarations. OVH arrives at Dragonstone to deliver a message to Rhaenyra. He gives terms to bend the knee to Aegon as Daemon fancies the end to OVH. Ray shuts him down and considers OVH's terms. Back at council, Ray and Day disagree over their next actions.
Glendog, I think you have the earliest note
I
here
have
as
the
well.
earliest note here as well. So, well, I think the table just got a lot cooler. I didn't think it I thought it looked cool like on its own, but when they put the candles or the coals or whatever they put under it, and then it just lights up, I think that it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the table?
I was like, can we talk about the table? Every note I
I would
wanted.
just say mother of drains. We
I
gotta
mean,
talk
like,
about mother of tables.
Every note at the beginning before I wrote books on this, but I was like, can we talk about the table now? Next scene. But can we talk about the table now? And I was like, here it is. Here it is. Yes, we can talk about the table. It's a good looking table.
Bench,
Yeah,
thoughts on
so
the
much-
table? Just the look of the
so
table.
much, look of the table, so much better than what we had in the old series. And I just find it funny that even Tyrion, as smart as he fucking was, and Stannis, as smart as he fucking was, never knew to like the table.
This is
Can't
kind of
let
what
that-
I'm getting at. This is kind of
You
what this is
know,
what I have a
that-
problem with. This is what I have a problem with.
Like nobody would have figured it out.
Oh, what is this hole right here? And why are these parts translucent? I don't know. It just bothers
It
me when
kinda-
there's like such an iconic piece that was used previously
Yeah.
and they choose to do something completely. It's the exact same table.
It's kind of like
That's
Like
what I.
but
it's
Well, that's
historically
forward.
the same
Yeah.
table.
I had.
Like the
that
Iron Throne one
question
doesn't bother me
first.
much because the Iron Throne always looked kind of silly in general, like it always will. But this one, it kind of bothered me a little. Like I like the look of it, but it's like such a change
yeah.
that it just threw me off.
I
It
was
took
reminds
me out of
me-
it for a
My
second.
first note was, "Is that the same table?" And then I felt stupid because I was like, "Yeah,
No,
well,
we gotta
obviously
show
it
That's
is."
your table.
Aegon the Conqueror had that carved.
I was like, "Oh,
No, it kind of reminds me of Star Wars a little bit, like when they did the prequel stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like where it just seemed like it was like, and it really what it was just the production was a little bit better and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I get it. I get the logistics on like the creation of the show differences, but I don't know. It just threw me off. Like no one knew we could light the table up the whole time. All the scenes that we spent there with Danny, like no one thought about, hey, let's just put
That's
a
why they always
candle under here.
that's why they always. Well, that table's also in a different room, so maybe it's sitting on maybe it's just a table topper that goes on a certain table leg set
I'm not buying
that's
any
in the
of it.
main hall. Because the table and with Danny and
I know.
and
I
Stannis
know.
are in a different room. And that's why they always had meetings during the day because you couldn't see the table.
Oh,
You know,
that must have been what it was. You
Oh.
got me there. Yeah.
They didn't
Or even
know
for
that-
Stannis, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there was one night.
There was there was that scene where Stannis banged Melisandre on the table, and there were candles on top of the table everywhere.
not a
Yes.
single
Yeah.
fell below and stayed lit."
A lot of pieces
that'd
fell
have been
over.
cool if it did, but it didn't.
Anyway, so I just it was something that kind of took me out of the scene. I was like, it looks cool, but it bothers me? Question mark. I think
Right.
so. Anyway, we can get
Would
to
buy that
the
table. I mean,
actual scene now.
Yeah, but I don't think we should hate on them for because
No,
it's
It was
They
more of a
love
did
table.
it take anyone else out even momentarily? It sounds like Benji, you had a thought around it as well. So just the
Yeah,
fact that
no,
it was
I mean,
different. We've seen this table for
they just made it
seasons.
cooler.
It was cool.
was.
I liked the original one too, so that's okay. They go to the table. It's cooler. Abby, you had a thought on who gets to go up to the table?
So I believe that Rhaenyra asks
It's Bela.
Bela to come up, but also Rhaena steps up too, which I just was like, all right, cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
take your space. That's awesome. And they don't get pushed back. Nothing like that. I just noticed because you see Bela get asked, and then Rhaena like kind of looks to her mom and is given like the, nod or not the don't do that. So even though at this point I don't believe that Rhaenys has chosen a side or voiced her opinion, she is not stopping her children from maybe stepping in and making their own choices.
Well, they're still betrothed to.
Right. Like she's not, yeah. Like I like
Bond.
that she is letting
And
them.
she's holding true to her husband. Basically, it's I'm going to when he dies, then I might make my choice, but I'm not going to speak for my husband, who's the Lord of the Tides, and overstep my
yeah.
boundaries.
I don't think
Yeah.
this is anything new from that aspect of definitely doesn't, throw all her cards out and like, this is what we're doing. I'm going to wait until I know the
Mm.
answer.
Yeah, I really
Grandchildren.
like
You're
her.
right.
Her
They're her grandchildren.
right.
I forgot.
Yeah,
That's
on,
not-
on both sides.
Yeah, but I forgot the girls weren't hers.
Gotcha.
My
Gotcha.
bad.
Yep.
Yep. in my-
Grandchildren. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, so we talk about who can we get on our team? Who can the Blacks get on their team, right? And they talk about old Grover in the Riverlands, and yes, there is a Kermit as well. There's a couple other names in there that you might
That's
reference if we
awesome.
get there. We talk about the Baratheons, we talk about the Starks, and we talk about the Aarons, right? And they clearly rule out the Lannisters real quick. They're saying that is not going to happen. So we got to figure these other things out, especially the Tullys. So we kind of go through, all of these men, or at least their families, swore allegiance to me. So they should, Lady Aaron is family. She's not going to turn her back on kin, which we've seen with Aarons in general. That kind of makes sense.
I love married and Tony might.
Right. Yeah. A little different there, but Baratheon, there's a really good reason Baratheon should fall in line with us too. Starks, they don't go against their word. There's no way that they are gonna show up and bow down to some new king that they never even had a chance to swear allegiance to, when they have the one that they swore to, the heir at the time. So a lot of good options. Tully, we learn a little bit more about him later, but he's a really important piece for where he stands in the middle of the Riverlands, right? It's literally the crossroads area. It's a traveling area to about every place you need to get to. So if they can get those, and yeah, Elmo, I wasn't gonna give all of them out, AK, but it's Elmo Grover. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So silly.
As long as Grover's there, I'm fine.
Oh yeah, super Grover.
Obviously.
So any thoughts
fucking
on
animal.
the potential alliances that they're trying to talk about?
I mean, I had a point about, I just think this council I just like this a lot better. It's more of a community as opposed to just like 5 or 6 guys with balls talking at a table.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems more
mean-
approachable for people to actually.
A lot of
Have
people
a say.
are just kind of in the background, but I think like everybody here they know the scoop, and it's not like let's try to play a narrative too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a-
not
this
a lock
is-
the doors and let's figure.
Let's kill a guy and then talk about what we should do with Rhaenyra.
Talk about bands. But yeah, I mean, they're very much. Let's get to the point of what do we know, what do we need to get to, and I like how everyone shows respect when Rhaenyra does walk in, right? We see them all laying their swords down outside of the room now. Like they had that shot where everyone was laying their swords down because she was going to be coming in, and only the Kingsguard could have swords around her, and so she comes in, and everyone, this was like that first moment. Okay, now she has to learn how to actually play the card of taking
Right.
action. She's seen it, she's tried to do it, but was never given the actual authority. Now she has all of the authority in this room, and that's a different game. Like knowing what you're supposed to do, and then finally finding yourself in that position to, oh, like shit, like this is. I'm not saying she's balking from it or afraid of it, but it's just that moment of realization of this is actually happening, and I have to be the one to know what do we do from here, or at least how to ask the question of where do we go from here. And she does that. Damon has the answers right away, right? Of
Yep.
what do we have in hand right now? He talks
And
about.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he calls it out. It's he names off all the dragons in the realm, all the known dragons, all 22 of them. Basically, it's 13 going on 4. He's like they only have 4 dragons. We have 13. Bit ballsy, pretty presumptuous of expecting he's got Rhaenys. He assumes he does.
He
but,
does, yeah.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah,
she's
but
like,
it's like-
"Oh, I'm counting in this number.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
okay."
definitely not the
My
new
bad.
math, though.
It's
My
not
thought
even
about it, it's like, okay, you have 13 against
3
4.
and 10.
3 inches.
There it is.
You got 3 and
again.
10. I got 4 and
You have
0.
3 and 10 Star Destroyers going up against one fucking Death Star, because that's a big ass bitch. And I mean, we'll get to it a little later, but
Big
it's
is
like-
big.
Hey,
And she's the biggest, but
David
there are
won.
some in that
David
ballpark.
won, Goliath 0. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and so it's like you're right. You have the numbers, but they we have the numbers, but they have the power. Simpsons reference there from season 1, Jesus. But that only I get. But it's like, yeah, you don't have the numbers, you don't have the source. You have 13 dragons, which is great, but slow your fucking roll. And that's what Rhaenyra's trying to get across to me. She's like, we need to figure this out. It's not just all gung ho. There's other shit at play. So I enjoyed the scene.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and she gets opinions from multiple people, and it like Glenn said, it seems like everyone has a chance to speak, and it's not like, oh, you can only speak about this thing. It feels a little bit more like
You gotta have a ball to speak.
like right. Hey, Glenn, have a ball. Like when Robb Stark was named King of the North, it seemed like everyone had a chance to have their say, but when it came down to it, he set the tone of, I'm having the final say. And this is kind of that moment for her of, it's a very different thing where they crowned him in spite of everything, and he's trying to figure out like what being a king even means, and he just errs on the side of being a badass Stark. But it's a bit like that, where it's a little bit more open to, hey, let's use the expertise of the people around me, and then make an informed decision. It's very Tywin Lannister, honestly. Listen first, and she does that. She asks the question, listens, and all of this gets cut off by, our boy Rick gets called over the side, and a ship just got sighted off the coast with dragon banner on it. And Daemon immediately is like, okay, we're gonna go out and meet this bitch. And he walks out and meets OVH, Otto von Hightower, on the parapet.
Yeah.
On the pathway.
Same spot that they met back in the day.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this interaction here?
He has gigantic balls. I really don't think you
Just
could.
one big one that he puts on the table.
That's funny.
Some balls are held for charity.
Those are for fun.
But who thought this was a good idea to go and like, hey, by the way, we've done this.
Well,
she probably already knows.
I think, to be fair, he tried to get Westerling to do it, and he was like, no, fuck you guys. Like, I'm out of here.
But I mean, he couldn't pay somebody else. The king couldn't
That's
say
true.
you are going. Like, I just think
Get
it's
Christian Cole to do it.
right.
It's got to come from the horse's mouth for it to be valid.
I guess he's
that's
lucky to be
that's
alive.
the hand of the king's job right there. If
He's
the king isn't going to go himself, it has to. He speaks with the voice of the king.
I get it, but
It's the only thing that's going to suffice here.
it's pretty. And then he's like doling out consolation prizes. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
pretty decent terms. Like, if she was ever open to it, pretty decent terms. Like, guess what? Luke gets to keep Driftmark, which basically legitimizes him, which then kind of goes against Aegon's claim, right? Of like all of that. But yeah, and like they get to keep like all of their stuff. Like almost nothing bad happens besides she's just not queen, right? Like they get everything they want besides that. Right?
Yeah.
And she pulls the big badass move of, hey, I'm going to cut you off at the pass with my dragon, and now you can't go anywhere. Like, trust me, you're not going to, if this turns into something where you're trying to assassinate me, which I don't think she was really thinking that, but they have to protect for it.
Just flex your muscles a bit.
And yeah, guess what? That's a good muscle to flex. They could have just had Caraxes and Cyrax meet him, just the two of them. But I like that we had the Cargill, team see each other across the pathway too. But yeah, OVH, he doesn't really balk either, right? He's clearly in a very intimidating position, but he delivers the message. He gives all of the information of, Aegon has the Conqueror's name. He's sitting on the Iron Throne. He's been crowned in front of all the masses. He has the Conqueror's sword. He has all of the symbols of legitimacy, which is true, except actual legitimacy, for what we know. But again, it's easy to hate on him, but he really is speaking for probably what most people in the realm would think is the true law of succession for what we've seen be set in the two previous great councils. I mean, I don't hate on the guy for doing his job. He's a prick. I don't like him, but he's definitely doing his job to the best of his abilities. No doubt about that.
I do like Rhaenyra stealing the hand pin off of him. She's like, "You're no hand," blah blah.
And she throws
like,
it.
Right.
She
Yeah, it's
chucks
like,
it off. Well,
They said something
Yeah,
about stale oaths or. Yeah, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what kind of monster are you?
and she does call him a traitor too. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
Fucking traitor. Trader Joe.
Trader Joe's. I saw a werewolf drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's. So obviously she decides, well, Damon jumps in. He goes, "We are not accepting those terms. There's no fucking chance. We will send your withered penis back in your mouth with our answer." And Rhaenyra, cuts him off and just goes, "You will have King's Landing will have my answer on the morrow."
Well, no, he shows her that page that was
Yeah,
ripped out of
right.
that book back in the day.
Yeah, because Allison, couldn't just get another copy and be like, "Yeah, this was the page that she ripped out. This is the only copy."
I keep renting this from the library, and it's the same copy. It has my name in it 7,000
70
times.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Damon here, he's just chomping at the bit, because he wants a piece. He wants to that the feud he's had with OVH, like this
He's
is the
waited for-
perfect
yeah.
opportunity, and here, like he's thinking the whole time like they're gonna come with some army or something. We got to get our shit together. Here they come with OVH and a few guys, a few Knights Guards. He's like, this is the perfect opportunity to just like get rid of them.
I just can't get over Glenn talking out of his eye. Just like how drunk Gumby looks. He's like,
Well,
just
and,
down
like,
here.
every time I
It's
drink,
amazing.
It's okay.
it's right out of the nose, so it just looks like I'm snorting cocaine or something. I don't know.
Sorry, cocaine. Coffee stout can. So they don't accept the deal right away. They don't do anything other than let them leave. They all go back inside, hunky dory for now, right? This is when we get back to the table, right? And
Yeah.
Abby, what are they talking about here?
I don't even fucking know. I don't know specifically because I know she clears the room, but I don't remember exactly.
basically
He-
calls her.
Yeah, go ahead.
He calls her out for being passive like her father.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's like,
and
your father was. You're just trying to be peaceful like your father and all this. And she basically says, "Yeah, he kept peace in the land. Maybe the terms are valid." And and he goes, "You're just so I forget what he says, but
well, he goes, "Those are your father's words," and she goes, "Do you just want to start a war?" And he goes, "The war has started. What are you gonna do about it?"
Right. That's
And that's when she goes, "Clear the room."
yeah.
Right.
And I think he's from where he's coming from right now. He's a man of action, 100%, right? I mean, you can't fault him for that. Is his nature. He's doing what he thinks is best for their side right now, and she really hasn't checked him. Like aside from when she was calling for him during the childbirth, he was doing what he thought his job in that moment. In my opinion, I don't think he was avidly ignoring.
Oh, I think you.
I don't think so. I think he was going to I'm going to do what I can so we can act quickly to get ahead of this thing and be productive on what I can be.
She'll be fine.
And she'll be fine. But I do see it tearing him apart. I see it. There's pain in his eyes that he's not over there. Okay,
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Screw me. That's fine. I wasn't the only one that sees it. He's struggling with it, but he also has to get shit done.
And he knows he can't do anything in that room. He can do something in this room.
They can't wait for her. They cannot wait.
In an instance like this, I mean, it's
Oh
In
my
his-
god!
in
It
his-
takes
in his
so
mind-
long
in
to
his-
get anywhere. She is a fucking dragon.
Okay, anyway, we're not going to go back on that side.
I'm
in
not
general,
defending it.
but
I mean, it's a dick move, but
in my thought,
understandable.
he is trying to get as much done as he can, and because he sees this as an act of war, he does. And now
I
we're
see
on the
it, yeah.
defensive when we should be on the offensive because we can end this quickly. In his mind, his plan makes sense, and they do have. If they can get the numbers to work out with the dragons, they have a plan that can fix this rather quickly.
Kind of blitz them.
Yeah, blitz them. Truly a blitzkrieg. Let's go in there, fire them up. Whoopsie daisy, we're done. And she's doing the right thing, doing the responsible thing as a ruler, being like, well, I'm not going to just go burn everything. I don't want to be a queen of bone and ash, you know? And that's when he says, well, you know, those are your father's words. And she's like, well, yeah, they're good fucking words. Like, what do you want from me? Like,
Right.
what do we win? I don't want to be a ruler who just kills everybody and takes what I want. Like, I've earned this, and my job is the protector of the realm, to protect the people. But he's on the let's win this, as opposed to let's do this the right way. And he doesn't like
about it.
he doesn't like hesitation.
Mhm.
That's number one for him. He doesn't do that well. But he, you know, I think he has a valid point. Like, well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
In his perspective, he is curious, what is your plan of action? Because he can't think of a way of not doing something.
Right.
That's just not how his
I think
brain works.
he's frustrated too because he can't drag her into the fight, so to speak.
He's not the king.
See, I don't think he's frustrated not being the king.
I don't think that's why he's not frustrated.
There are things in that, though.
That's not what I meant by that, though. Like, he's not the king. It's not his worry.
If he
He's
was
there
the
to
king,
take fucking orders.
he'd have
So
done
take the orders. Is how I feel
But
about
here's
it.
the problem he's having is there's no orders being given.
Yeah, because he's not the king. He should just wait for him to
No,
be
I-
given.
I understand, but when you're in that, and again, not in his, as Luke was saying, his mindset is action needs to be taken. We need to take action. We need to do something. Something needs to be done, because if we don't, he who hesitates is lost.
Am I
It's just-
really
we're-
doing the
we're
do
gonna get
nothing
lost.
option here?
Yeah,
And that's
God damn.
gotcha.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
and
Finally,
for a person
there it
that-
is.
Yeah, and a person in that mentality who doesn't live by the do nothing option gets super frustrated. You know, I'm saying you're correct, Abby. You should
No,
wait for
I know.
Queen to make
Yeah,
the-
I'm not
Oh.
disagreeing with any of this
I'm
here
not really
tonight.
agreeing with what he's doing. I see where he's coming from, and it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
in character for him to be doing this, I think. And I don't think it makes him a bad person.
No, not that specifically.
Not right here.
No.
Not in that moment.
I really
there's
don't think a lot of this makes him a bad person at all.
he's
I just-
impetuous. He's very reactive, and he wants to get shit done.
Right. But I think, like, right here specifically, he's like, what are you going to do? Like, this is the exact moment that she does have to say, like, hey, I'm literally in charge now. So you're going to wait for me, or we're going to think through it as I wish. And it's nice to see, at least for once, like, that happening.
And like we said, she hasn't actually
Yeah.
checked him. She's let him do this in front of other people.
Yep.
She's, you know, took it
Here
in stride,
comes. Right.
but now
she's actually-
she's setting the
yeah.
tone. And go ahead, Glenn.
I think she, at the same time, she brings up the long night and all, like the prince who was promised and all that stuff, that, you know, the dream that Viserys had.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you don't, and then he ends up like choking her. Like, what did you say?
Fucking
Yeah,
And I thought that was kind of weird. Like,
yeah.
What I wrote down as my note here. I think what's going on between Rhaenyra and Daemon has a lot of layers to it. A lot of different things going on.
Mhm.
like onions.
They're like a couple of ogres right now. Where they turn brown and when it gets smelly in the sun. And a couple of these layers are really fucked up,
Mhm.
right? So we have they've both been heir for Viserys at one point. And there's that power struggle kind of, you know, a promise that was lost, you know, for Daemon, and respecting her because he does think that she's very capable of doing this. I think he believes in her to do this. They're also married, and I think they're lovingly married. I think they're a really strong couple together. It's like in the post show they call them a punk rock couple kind of thing. Like they're kind of hardcore.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there's also the uncle and niece thing, which is weird. But there's also there's just a lot going on, and some of it's really bad, but some of it comes from this pot of they really respect each other a lot.
They're equals.
And so they are equals. And so this is testing the waters and finding where this new line, is it a new line? Which is why she's let him get away with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And is finally now, even when he's choking her right here,
Yeah,
there's still a mutual respect as their couple. Whatever's right for them is right for them. And I'm not saying I condone the fact that he's doing this, but he's struggling with like Viserys never even told me about this. So there's like a jealousy thing in here now too. So it's
Well,
just
so here's the-
complicated.
It is. And here's the thing. The choke starts right as she mentions the, prophecy. It's not him. I don't like. I originally thought he was pissed because she knows something he doesn't. I read it that way the very first time, and that's what. But then I went back and rewatched it, and I saw, because she makes the line of, "Oh, he never told you," after he let her go, and he's joking her when he's like, "My brother lived and died by these prophecies, and this and that, and all his dreams and this crap," and I think I think it's just frustration coming out, and we see his true nature of he's a dick, and she's just putting him. And it's not even she was putting him down. She's like, but the prophecy, Aegon's dream, and that's when he grabs her. And I think it's like just his pure dickishness and his pure just uh, anger at the sense of. What the fuck are you talking about? You make no sense. You're being as worthless as your father was, kind of mentality, and I would be a better king.
Yeah.
I genuinely, once the choke happened, and then she, and he kind of pauses, and the very first time, I thought he kind of just put his hand on her throat, wasn't actually squeezing until he let her go, and then you see her kind of gasping, and it's like, oh, okay. It was more of an idle threat. I could squeeze if I wanted to, but after the scene progressed, it was like, okay, he actually was. So that's why I think I read it different the second time. But I think the second time through, it was more of a, he's pissed because he feels she's being as weak and indecisive as her father, and it's just that's his breaking point.
That's an interesting take. I like that.
Yeah,
And I don't like it, but I didn't notice that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right
No,
or anything like that, but I think
interesting, I should say.
and I'm not, citing and saying he's right for doing it that way, but I can see where in his mentality the frustration just
Well, as Luke and I were just saying, I really do think that they see each other as equals, because I don't know if he ever laid his hands on what's her name,
Lena.
I don't know. You might know better than me, but he does it because they do, and they have this volatile love, which
A violent love.
yeah, and
I mean,
it's
I feel like that was part of their natural physical communication.
Right.
In not saying that he always chokes, but that didn't feel out of place for
No.
those two in a cruel way.
no
To me, it just felt like okay, that could
Yeah.
be a thing for them.
Yep.
I think it makes sense what Benji
I'm not gonna
was
king shame him.
saying. Just you had a fucking dream, and that's what we're doing now. If you think about it, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're gonna go based off of dreams that somebody.
Oh,
had.
Yeah, there's a
That
couple
was-
pieces going on here. There's the choke. As a choke, I think is what Abby and I are talking about. And then there's also
Well,
the reason that he got angry that
that's-
started this. I
at
missed a part.
Yeah,
I'm
at
sorry.
first we were talking about how Benji said he'd seen it as because she knew something he didn't, and that's how I took it every time I watched it. But then he said, I think Glenn just said it too here, you're going off of the dream. That's who you've become, and that's where I was pulling in, because they're equals and he respects her. What the fuck are you doing? Frustration coming out in him through the trope.
Oh, I still don't have that. I still didn't get that.
Don't.
Well,
I
you
didn't
need to
get
get
it, but I'm saying I
I
didn't.
guess I gotta get it.
I didn't see it, and if that's what is happening here, it's just a different way of seeing it. I didn't see it like that in there, but it could also make sense for this very volatile, toxic, heavily passionate.
To double down on, I thought it was he was frustrated that he never knew about it, but then when he pulls off, it's like he realizes, wow, maybe Viserys was right, that she really was the right one to go with, because they respect the same things. I took it as an initial frustration, and then some kind of realization coming over him, and then she reverse realizes he never told you. You never heard this.
Ah,
And I think both of them, through this really weird struggle moment, kind of learn more about each other and almost maybe respect each other more. And I felt like it set their places even firmer in this new paradigm of what their relationship is. I mean, we'll have to see where it goes, but I felt like by the end of that, however problematic it was and however it looked, it seemed like they could be stronger after this moment.
I
Sure.
have a final thought, and you guys can have all the final thoughts on us.
Like an actual final thought?
No,
or
just like
okay.
this is my last one for this
Hey,
scene.
careful when you say final thought on
No,
this
no,
show.
this
'cause-
is my final thought for this scene, and then I'm gonna go make water.
Okay.
But
You can let Poe upstairs too. when you
perfect, I will. I really, really wish, as she said, clear the room. She would have looked at Damon and said, clear the room, and held Rhaenys there.
go. Yeah.
Just to be like, hey girl, like I gotta pull a power move, you're being part of it. Cool, cool. And they're both like,
mini-me.
cool, I got you. And then she walks out and goes, Rhaenys walks out and it's like, she wants you now. Like I wish
The queen will see you
yes,
now.
like I'm like, missed opportunity. I just think that would have been really
would have
funny.
been the one to do
Yes.
that
It's
too,
like
for sure.
it's like Austin Powers and Goldmember whenever Dr. Evil's like, I need everyone to clear the room. Not you, number 2, not you. Guy pressing buttons over
Literally
there.
everyone but
Mini-Me.
Mini-Me.
Like, it's a little
Now
crowded
you,
in here.
Frau. Frau Farbissina. Oh, man. Any other thoughts on the disagreement, or are we rolling through?
Ready to go? I think we're ready to go. Next scene?
Yeah, Abby, are you drinking from a cheesy poops container?
I don't think
No,
so.
the what you're pouring
Oh,
out of.
no. I really wanted to find a straw long enough, but I couldn't.
That's what they say.
It's a quart or yeah.
Is it balls?
Yeah, it does.
All right, ladies, get your
A ball.
balls out. It's canning season.
That's what they should come up with next season. Is just like the Green Council, instead of actual balls, they just have ball mason jars.
Oh yeah, get your balls out. Let's have a talk.
Take your balls out.
All right, Glenn, tell us about the next scene, please.
Let's do it. Corlys Valerian wakes to find his wife asleep by his side. Rhaenys tells him the events that took place in the kingdom while he was away. The Lord of the Tides approaches the battle table and joins council. He gives the queen his house and fleet's full support. Before any action, Rey wants full support of Winterfell, the Eyrie, and Storm's End. Jace proposes the message be sent by dragons instead of ravens.
All right,
So
Benj, you had. Well, I guess that's.
Yeah.
You want to work that in later? Okay. I don't really know where your thought comes in here, Ab.
It's right at the beginning.
Okay, take it away. then.
So,
I couldn't tell. It was cryptic.
yeah.
It was written in Gertie. I speak Gertie. I don't read Gertie very well.
Hey, me neither sometimes.
No one
So
does.
right here when she wakes up and he kind of teases her like whatever, they have the cute little banter.
I've had men whipped for falling asleep
Yeah,
on their watch.
and
You're no man.
right.
no
And-
sleeping.
Then we go on and she's like, you left me. And he was like, well, I was hurting. I lost. And she says, we lost. I think this is like overarching my biggest problem with the men in this episode. Like, here we have the women who stay, who endure, who find the strength while they get to go off and make plans. But these women are held back to deal with like what is actually physically happening in the moment. And like, it's just another one of these. Well, I lost. Like, I had to run, or I had to do this. I had to go play in that battle. Who was going to do that? Like, and I'm not going to go back on it, but this is like another little like pinpoint of, well, I had all these things where it seems, at least in this universe, like universally, like these women are like, but we collectively have to stop and think about that. We collectively have to get through this. We collectively, whatever. And we see Alicent do that. We see Rhaenyra do it. Now we're seeing Rhaenys do it. Like, it's, I don't know. It's cool. I'm happy. I'm proud to be a girl. Like,
yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, it's very case study, right? It's very like, this is
Keep
men go off to war.
Keep those home fires burning.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, they're really hitting it on the head
And-
in these last 2 episodes,
And
right?
like, what I think I really love about it is it shows the strength within that. Like, it's not easy to just, oh, well, don't worry. Like, I'm not saying that going off to war is easier. I'm not that dependa, for those that know. But there is a difficulty, and I'm just glad that there's a little bit of respect being put on our fucking name. Sorry, but it was funny.
No, great. And I'm going to make a comment to that. It's to your thought. It's the last two episodes have been very much girl boss mentality, but in the right
Uh,
way done. It's not. It's not. We're making these girls popular or yes queens or anything like that.
You're gonna be the
They're
female
legitimately-
superhero this time.
They're legitimately doing the work and they're putting in the showing the effort that it takes. And yeah, I'm with you. It's like yes, this is what I want to see from film and TV and everything that try to do the women empowerment the right way.
Right.
This is doing it the right way.
I
This
agree
is showing
completely.
the reality of how shit happens.
Yep.
So
I agree
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
and I think it comes down to we've built these characters up so well over time. There have been those kind of gaudy girl boss moments, if you want to
Yeah.
call it that. Like it's like on the nose, we're making her be cool right now. So
Right.
you can respect her because she's doing a guy thing. There's been some of that, right? I mean, we've seen
absolutely. Rhaenyra, young Rhaenyra, definitely.
that. Right. But we've seen that build up over time. And now it's even easier for us to buy in for all three of these women to do it. I
Yeah.
might be missing some, but like those
We
are the
might
big
be missing
three.
some, but
I mean,
these are
but
the big
in the
three.
last
Yeah.
two episodes,
Absolutely.
Allison had plenty of this. Rhaenys and Rhaenyra both had plenty of this, and they're doing awesome shit,
Yeah.
and they're actually getting shit done. And I love all three of those characters. I mean, for different reasons, but the way that they're being handled, I think, is really strong.
That's boom.
Boom goes the vagina mine.
Vagina mate.
It was not
So-
planned at all.
So we do
Ooh,
get back to
okey-dokey.
the
Back
That was
to the-
earlier. That was earlier.
I guess I missed it
Vagina
completely.
No,
Cool.
that just slipped out like baby Visenya.
Ready?
Ooh,
That's what she said.
I feel so weird about that comment right now.
Yeah, you should. You are so red. I love it.
It's also really hot. I hear
It
Glenn
is
just
really
breathing his ass
I
off.
know. Hey, I look like
Gotta
I'm
get-
struggling
get
here,
that
but that's
little-
Glenn breathing. I promise. Like,
Oh my god. Oh, that's nice.
all right, so we get back
It's
to the
not
council
cold in here,
room.
I'll tell you that.
And they're discussing war and options and everything. And Corlys makes his approach and everything after him and Nees have their little powwow. And Corlys quickly, after seeing his granddaughters and grandsons together, makes the choice. I shouldn't say quickly makes the choice, but
He makes
we
her
don't know
he
where
makes her
she's gonna land.
sweat. He makes her sweat a little bit.
Also because
The
of what
Rhaenyra?
he says because of what makes us sweat because of what he said in the previous scene with Nees, where he's like, we've lost everything because of her. We have nothing left, and that's when Nees calls him out and says, we are only around because of her. And I think it's that flip because even then the whole time you don't know if Rhaenys is on Ray's side entirely
Right.
through this whole episode. She doesn't bend the knee. She doesn't,
Except for
doesn't
the
make
one
room.
conversation with Corlys where she goes, she's the only one that's shown restraint.
Right.
Yeah,
and
I
that's what I'm
think-
saying. It's like,
Yep,
They come to the same conclusion together.
yes. And up till that point, we didn't really know exactly, because he was even saying, let's get out of this. Let's fuck off. We're going back to Driftmark.
right.
Let them have,
Let's
know,
retire, basically.
let's-
Let's
we're going
retire
to
in the
Florida.
Catskills.
They're going to Boca Raton.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to head to. But so once that happens, they start talking about the trade routes and everything. And I think somebody else has something there. But Nees is the first one to step up. She's like, I'll block it. I'll take melees and we'll.
Well,
hammer it out."
there's a couple things I think to talk about even before that. Like, because this is
Yeah.
before Corlys, when he first walks into the council room, right, the map room, and he immediately is like, "I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of your father." He pulls a kind move, right, but then is a little bit shunning of her, right? He doesn't really like. He calls her princess, right? He calls her princess to start.
Yeah.
And then he walks
Oh, yeah,
by,
yeah.
he just walks right past her and goes over to the table to start looking with the men. He kind of leaves her to the side.
Does he call her princess? I know.
Oh, yeah.
Otto did.
He absolutely
Okay.
calls her
I missed-
princess.
I missed that one. Okay.
Yeah, he calls her princess when he first walks in. And then they chat for a minute, and then he walks right over the table with the men because she came over to greet him. And he kind of pulls the dick guy move. Oh, I'm gonna go look at the map, honey. You stay over there, sweetie. And
Well, doesn't he have a cane as well? He's like kind of limping a little bit.
he is, but it does get to the point of, like they're talking about who are your allies, and they talk about who they have and who they hope to have, and he's like, hope is not worth a whole lot, right? Like that's, and she goes, and then she calls him out. Well, what about you? You swore to us too. And he kind of dances around it for just like another couple lines, and then goes in full bore saying, you have the whole our house
Support.
and fleet. Glenn, I think you had something on that too.
I did have something on that, and basically gives the Narrow Sea like, hey, by the way, I think this is when he kind of drops the bombshell of,
not
I
only
was
do
in
you have
that
us,
war with the Triarchy or whatever their names are or whatever, but we kicked their ass, and that whole area, that's ours. So that's cool.
so like
Definitely
we control
that.
all
Really
of commerce.
Everything.
And
One thing, Glenn, really quick. One thing he did do. Sorry, but in that when he says that, he does exactly what Rhaenyra said they needed to do at the Stepstone in the council meeting in episode 7, or like episode 6, where she's like, "We need to set garrisons. We need to do this. We need to fortify." And that's what he says. We've set garrisons. We fortified, and basically exactly what she had said that needed to be done was done. So out of a respect thing. Please continue with your thought. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
point
no,
that out.
I was gonna say, it's a good move, for the the blacks here. Cut off the trade to King's Landing. It reminds me of, I believe it was William Tecumseh Sherman in the Civil War, where he did that to
the March to the Sea, Atlanta.
basically cut off the
British.
the provisions and all that. No,
different one.
he cut off the food
Timeline
supply
of it.
to the troops of the Southern armies, and that's really what kind of did him in.
He
so to
had no
speak.
shoes.
That no shoes,
No shirt, no service. But they can get in a
No
Kenny
problem.
Chesney concert, I'm sure.
No problem. It's siege season.
Hey, ladies, it's siege season.
I'm so excited.
Siege.
OMG.
I love a good siege.
But I love how Corlys handles this whole thing. He makes Rhaenyra sweat a little bit, but then he goes in hard, right? And I think Rhaenyra takes it, pretty honestly too. She goes, "You honor me, Lord Velaryon," and he just kind of looks at Rhaenys, and she goes, "Oh shit!" Like she's been kind of off stage like for days. Like,
Yeah, what
She's
the
been
hell?
playing
Like,
this game hard.
but like now, because she was waiting to be able to have this, either Corlys wasn't going to make it, and she was going to make her decision, but she wasn't going to do it without having the opportunity to talk to him
and I think
and have a united front.
they decided, like, okay, we can go back to Driftmark, but their kids or their grandchildren are not going to be safe with, Aegon on the throne, is what they kind of ultimately decided, and I think that's why they kind of decided to go with.
It was that and Rhaenys saying, that Rhaenyra is the only one with this war thing going on that's shown any kind of restraint. I mean, and that's what I think Corlys respected, along with, knowing that their grandchildren wouldn't be safe no matter what. And this is where, along with controlling the Narrow Sea, this is what I cut you off, Benji, a little bit earlier.
No, you're right. So yeah, is the first one, and my comment really was Neves was the last act in several scenes of this episode. Either a last act or didn't act at all, where she didn't Neves. She was the last one to leave the room, kind of out of a disrespect of clear the room, and she's the one kind of meandering, but she's the first one to step up with a problem-solving solution, or a because as you guys said, she was waiting to have that discussion or to without her support, unofficially, she wanted the official thing. Once it was official, she's all in, which I appreciate about her.
Yeah, is that what she appreciates about her?
That's what I appreciate.
So, one quick comment on you when they had the when she was the last one to leave the room. I didn't take that as a disrespect thing. I took that as she's in a different league than everyone else besides, because she's the only other Targaryen here, and she's in a whole nother league compared to just about everybody. So she has some leeway.
Thing. She does. It's not. I shouldn't say it's a disrespect thing, but it's because she feels she's in a different realm. And honestly, I kind of feel she should not have been allowed in the council chambers, until she showed her, true
I get
self,
that.
because
Yeah.
you're getting secrets because she hasn't officially said she's on your side. I mean, yes, you're assuming she's the one that gave the warning, and that's a fair call and everything, but she hasn't officially said, so why is she even allowed in that room at that point after the funeral and all that? So it's that's.
I mean, yeah, I think it's out of respect for her and the respect for what having her being aware of what's going on can turn into, which is what we see here, right? You're not, because if she gets locked out again, then that's she's over too. Like, you'd rather be kind to her, where we already saw the other side lock her up, a prisoner in her own room. So they know that she's not going to be a big fan of that. Like, she's a proud woman. She's not going to be a big fan of being locked in her room to not have a chance to action. Benji, you're cutting out a lot. I don't know what's going on. You're cutting out a lot.
I don't know. But like, I'm not saying lock her in a room. I'm just saying maybe shut her out of the council area. We're not gonna. You can do. You're free to do with what you please. But right now, after the first council meeting she was in, fine, perfectly fine. Rhaenyra's not officially crowned queen, fine. The second one, after the funeral where she doesn't bend the knee when everybody else does, you know what? How would you hang back? Like, I don't know. It's just my kind of personal thought on it. But it's also the same thing, Seth Lucrum and Reese just like that meanders out.
You're gonna have to
call back in,
reconnect, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got about 85% of it. It got worse at the end. It was good for a while there.
Yeah.
So anyway.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I think like don't really know who you're saying, but I just kind of appreciate Rhaenyra's strategy here. Like, we need to find out our allies before we send them to war, because like, I mean, the fact that you send these people out.
Nope.
And then
I know what happened. Sorry.
Okay. Good.
Nope, go ahead. Go.
You send these people out, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, nope, never mind, we're not going." Without but you pledged fealty, way back in the day. Well, no, still not going. Right?
Yeah. I was distracted by getting his screen right. I missed your whole point. I'm so sorry. Abby should have been listening because.
I heard you, Glenn.
Well, thank God. Was it a good point? Do you agree with him? Do you hate his idea?
I'm kidding.
I'm not saying it again.
So,
it's too hot in this
He already
conversation.
did it.
Yeah. It's out there for the world.
Never
we
fucking mind.
can't talk about it. I'm sorry, Glenn. So we start talking about who's gonna go where, right? We gotta get these allies. Now that Corlys is all in, we gotta get these allies, which I think is what you're talking about. You gave these promises. Let's go and fulfill these oaths, right?
Yeah, we need to find out who these people are that are backing us.
And
if not, then we look dumb.
Right. And so they get to the point, okay, well, the Maester's like, I'll send the Ravens right now, which is a great idea. Good job, Maester. Like, being proactive, like jumping on it. Like, he feels like he's got his directive. I'm going to do my thing. Jace with the ideas, my man.
The idea guy.
The idea guy. He's just like, you know what's even better than a raven? How about a dragon? Let's go ahead and do that.
Personal visits.
And he's putting himself in danger's way, too, which is, a bold move. And I like this moment because now Rhaenyra just lost a child hours ago? Yesterday? I mean, I think yesterday, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
With the sleeping scene with Corlys, I feel like that was like overnight.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At yesterday's.
So maybe at yesterday's, hopefully not. That place is fine. But just yesterday, she lost a child. And now she has to make the choice. Do I allow my two oldest to become men in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm definitely having them be here so they can learn what that means. And he's offering to do this. I can't belittle him. It's the similar thing with Kat Stark and Robb Stark when she's like, I can't treat him like a child in front of everybody because that will take him down to being a child. And that's hard to come back from. If your mother's the one saying no in front of all of these big men, and he's already done this with Daemon a minute ago, early in the episode where he had showed big balls and he stood up for himself. if she undercuts that, that's not good for him moving forward as her heir.
Right.
There's a lot to overcome there. It, just
Yeah.
status wise. And she decides to let them do it. And that's a big mother growth moment too, right? Because there's a lot going on in her life, but she still has that mother side for sure. That's gone nowhere. And she has to come to grips with, do I put my sons in danger because they are becoming men in front of my eyes and I'm not ready for it, but I can't call
Are
them
they
out?
ready for it? I'm not ready for them to be ready for it.
Exactly. And I thought it was a really cool, quick moment on her, not hesitation, but her deliberation about it.
Yep. And what?
And
this-
I'd like to think that I saw this, but I could just be making it up. But I'm pretty sure I saw a quick glance from Luke to Jace, like, "Shut the fuck up!
yeah, like what?
What are you
No.
putting me in? Like,
are
like
you
if you
volunteering me for?
We
probably
didn't talk about this. Yeah.
probably not.
We did
Probably
not agree
but
on this.
It just
Where's this coming
it
from?
reminds me of like
when
the
did I
kid-
say I would
Who?
drive to
Me?
Alaska? Fuck you!
But you can take a huge truckload of hay back.
It just
and make a
reminds me
ton
of like
money.
college when all right, I'm gonna think of a good question to ask. Just one question, just so I can be like, good, kudos to the teacher. Like, oh, he's engaged, and then like you tried to raise your hand, but then somebody raises their hand and says the exact same thing. You son of a bitch.
It's like,
Or-
man, I was holding on to that one.
Why don't you give us
So-
more
so
homework? No.
My only other thought on this is the stepstones aren't that far away from the Baratheons at.
Storm's
Storm's
End.
Thank you. At Storm's End,
At brain farts end.
and yep, and
You're good. You're good.
Rhaenys is the connection for the Baratheon blood that Rhaenyra brings up. Not saying don't send Luke. I'm just saying, why not make an
Well-
offset? Go with your nephew, grandson. Go with your grandson to maybe. I
Yeah.
know story plot. I get
They
it.
make
I'm
it
not
sound
even
like
saying
they make
that.
it
Go
sound
ahead,
like it's
Glenn.
a slam dunk.
She's
That
gotta go to the knuckle.
It makes
or
it
the
seem like
horns
he's
or
got the easier
something.
job.
Knuckle.
They,
I don't know what it's
True.
called.
Rhaenyra believes that he's got the easier job. He's such a proud man. He is gonna love having a prince in his court.
Yeah.
Little does she
I don't
know
think
that
she
she's.
believes that though.
Oh.
I don't think she does.
I don't think she would send him into something that she thought was super dangerous like this.
I think she says all of that as like, "You're gonna do great, honey. They're gonna love you."
just pepper him
I
up.
felt like
Yeah.
she
That-
chose
I-
that because she thought
I
that
don't
was going
think
to be
she
the
thought it
easier
was
one.
safer.
dangerous.
It
Yeah.
was safer
I don't-
and
It
easier.
was a shorter
Yeah.
flight. It was a shorter trip. 'cause,
Shorter trip, and it should be a
Jace
slam
is
dunk.
going to the Erie then Winterfell. So
And Erie should
he's
be
going-
easy. He's just gonna like, hey, here you go, boom, see you in a couple weeks, and then I got to talk to Krieg and Stark. That's gonna be the tough one. It shouldn't be,
Yeah.
but Starks are prickly, right? We know that
No.
they can be tough to work
and
with.
and they put too much stock. What I'm saying is Rhaenyra put too much stock in the blood of, because she's like, the Baratheons, they're blood. We're blood related. We're good. This is an easy one. And I'm just saying it's hindsight 2020 and
Sure.
all that, but it's it wouldn't have been a bad option for Rhaenys, who just popped up saying, "Oh, I'll go defend the stepstones."
Well,
and
but she can't.
everything are all-
No, the gullet. She's the gullet. She's not
Well,
going far at all.
No, she's not going far at all. Which
The
Storm's
knives.
End is not far at all.
It's
She can easily.
but she can't
pop over
patrol
and
her
then-
thing, and I don't know.
It doesn't need to be
The
done
gizzard.
right the moment. It's I get it. It's just one of those
the
of
stomach.
use your blood that you're connected to the
Ooh,
family
the
with,
gallbladder.
as our
Go
lock-in.
island.
Remind him
Gullah.
of your
Gullah Gullah Island.
I am listening, Bench. I promise.
I know.
I'm-
But I'm saying,
I'm
like,
Binya
remind
Binya,
him
so.
of our blood relation.
Yeah.
More so than just, hey, we're cousins by whatever. It just would have felt a little bit more fitting. I think Rhaenys jumped up a bit early on I'll go do this, and then this option came out. It's like she may have said, well, I could probably help out with that. But again, I get story. I get
Well,
everything
and
like that,
she
but-
Protecting her.
she committed to her
Gullet
job,
better.
and so she's not going to back out, being like, "Oh, because now if she does that, then that belittles Luke, right? That undercuts that same
That's
thing."
true.
And Jace is more manly. We saw him kick the shit out of his little brother earlier, and what was it? Rick was like, "If you go easier on him." No, it was
That
the
was-
other.
it
It
was
was
some
it was
other-
it was
it was
before.
some
It
other
was.
yeah.
And they said their names. I did
Yeah, I
not
don't
write them
think
down.
so.
They just said when they got
I don't
added
think
to the
they gave
King's
the
Yard.
names.
I think you're right. Yeah. But he was like, if you go easier on him, maybe he actually will learn what you're doing. So like clearly Jace
Yeah.
is picking it up. Like Jace has hit that man growth of like athleticism, if you want to call it that. And Luke is
Yeah.
like maybe just on the cusp of it. Like he's just not keeping up with his older brother, but he's trying, you know? Like
Oh yeah.
that's kind of how it goes. And clearly neither of them are who we'll see in a little bit. But so Rhaenyra can't undercut, or even Rhaenys can't undercut Luke
Yeah.
in that moment either. So
Right.
No, and I
agree
get
that would be
It's
the
just
smart
like,
choice. If Rhaenys hadn't jumped
It's-
in to do her, like, I'm all in,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the first person to volunteer for you on a job. If she hadn't done that, then maybe it would have been, hey, send Rhaenys here to Baratheons, send Luke to the Errands, and send Jace straight to Winterfell. That's the
Yeah,
right choice,
that's
but
the
we don't
smart,
have that.
yeah.
Why don't you send Damon to one of them? Boom, there
Well,
you go.
Was he
He's
not,
going to
he, wa- he
Harrenhal.
wasn't there at the time because I think
Well,
I
yeah.
think
He
Corey
wasn't.
was-
He's
says,
going to
"Where's Damon
see
at?"
a dragon, which we're going to see in the next
See a man about a
scene.
dragon.
I gotta see a man about a dragon.
Speaking of see a man about a dragon, let's move on.
Let's move along so we can get out of these costumes.
There you
Is
go.
this actually the next scene?
Next scene is
This
sure
is
it
this scene. Damon serenades a dragon.
Where we just hinted at that, so we can go to that scene now.
Oh.
We are rolling into
Can
that
we
now.
please?
Glenn, please.
Rhaenyra briefs the princes to be messengers and not warriors. Dragons ride out. Jace heads north to Winterfell. Luke rides south to Storm's End. And Rhaenys to patrol the Gullet. Daemon serenades a dragon in Old Valyrian.
We were just talking about the plan to do the
No,
things that you were reading there.
I thought we were. I was like, never mind. Anyways, you guys are all right.
We are all right.
You're all right.
We're all right. And there goes Headless Gumby.
All right.
So we see the dragons all take off, which I thought was a cool scene.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make
was.
much fanfare of it, but they all go out the same direction and then split off to their own assignments, which cool scene. You know, not much else to it other than we kind of follow Luke a little bit more because he's kind of the more trepidatious one, right? A little more timid on it, but
Yeah. Luke, you do have a comment to that the first part of that though, with them speaking.
oh yeah, I forget about that part of it. Yeah, so when they talk to Rhaenyra, right? Rhaenyra talks to her boys and gives them a little bit of information about, you know, who you're, and I think this is what I was a little bit alluding to a minute ago, forgetting about
Yeah.
this scene, but you know, she speaks to Jace first and she talks about how, you know, she doesn't even talk about Lady Aaron at this point because that seems like it's a slam dunk, right?
It's a foregone.
It's a foregone. Well, if that doesn't happen, that's going to be very surprising. Cregan Stark, she doesn't know much about. He's closer to Jace's age, so hopefully Jace can just like figure out, hey, let's get on the same page with this guy. We know he's going to be honorable because he's a Stark. He's going to follow that. So just remind him of that and, you know, bond with him. Like, create a relationship. That's all we can do right now. That's going to be the toughest thing in all of this. And he immediately is like, boom, I got it. I know my job. I am not gonna fail you, your grace. Instantly knows the proper thing for it. Luke shows a little bit more amateurishness when he, you know, at the end of their conversation, he goes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
will, mother, I mean, your grace. Like, they're showing an age disparity between these two a little bit. Not so
Well,
much, but
and
a
also
bit.
on top of it too, Jace has been bred and groomed to be king and know his niceties and honors. Jace may not have been put through as much rigmarole.
Luke hasn't been put through as much.
Luke, sorry, yeah, Luke hasn't been as much through
Mhm.
as Jace it's still newer to him. He's a couple years younger, and yeah, I mean, I think it's age, but I think it's also he hasn't
Exposure.
been instilled
Yeah. No, I think that's
all the
totally fair.
expectations.
So this is the other moment in this episode where we have a really tight moment, a really tight scene with Rhaenyra and Luke, right? They have a nice hand-holding moment. I don't know, Abby, you talked about the triple kiss on the forehead. Did you see the hand, like the
Yep.
pinky rubbing his hand? Like it's like someone trying to get as much contact
Push it in.
together as I can. I get that. Like I get that. And I like all props to was it Emma Darcy?
Emma Darcy.
awesome on her mother moments in this. Like
Oh,
she's phenomenal throughout this whole episode, in my opinion. She does
This
so
is
many
how you
incredible
should be
things,
a mother in Game of Thrones.
and
Just
she does so many awesome mother things that we don't see in this show ever. Like this
Yeah.
is truly just
Mhm.
like, I love you because I'm your mom, not because you're my heir.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's
absolutely.
true parental love, and she displays it so well, so well. And
I
this isn't even the last moment that we have of
I
it.
think that is shown very highly, like over and over again. Just a parent loving absolutely.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the little tiny nuances of like how you are treated as somebody's child, like what your parent does with you versus what an adult who even cares for you like does.
right. And that's the thing. Like it's, I know our buddy Fannin was here earlier, and he made a comment about, you know, a great mom just like Cersei was, right? Facts. And he said that. And
Yeah.
this is a little different. This is a great parent who loves her kids because they're her kids, not because they're her line. You know, it's not a lineage thing. It's not an heir thing. It's just, you're my kid, and I'm here for it, and I love it. And it's just so good to see. It's such a beautiful moment between them. But neither one of these strong boys, is what I call them, back down from their task. You know, they're tough, but they both buy in immediately, which I thought was really cool to see.
So, all
Positivity
right.
duly.
Yep. All right. Next part.
So now we see why Daemon wasn't in the last council scene.
So we get a scene with Daemon walking through a
Doing a
cavern,
little
Sing-
singing.
singing this: "Fire breather, winged leader, but two heads to a third sing. From my voice the fires have spoken, and the price has been paid with blood magic. With words of flame, with clear eyes, to bind the two three. To you I sing, as one we gather, and with three heads we shall fly as we were destined, beautifully free."
It sounded a lot catchier in Valyrian. I gotta be honest.
The way
Well,
you
the
just
guy-
said it really reminded me of "She's a daydream believer," and
I wasn't trying to do it to the tune. Sorry,
No,
I'm not as good a singer as
no,
that.
no, that's what it like
but
the
the-
words there. Like for some reason,
yeah.
that's what I was getting.
Gotcha.
Brothers,
fair.
oh brothers.
What
Guess
are we
what?
doing?
That's gonna get that same
Yeah.
treatment. No, I probably won't.
Yeah. But yeah, this is from the actual Valerian linguist who wrote the song. He wrote it in English first to make sure it would work in Valerian, and then transposed it and everything. So,
good
but yeah,
job.
so I mean, I
met
see
him.
your
Good job, guy
note
that
there.
did that.
Yeah,
I met
like,
him.
Which dragon? Like I know we're serenading
question.
a dragon,
Good
but
question.
like,
So
Well,
he named
hello?
up
He
a bunch.
and he said there's three
bunch of-
wild ones, right?
Right, cannibal, and don't worry about
And
those.
there's
Okay.
one sitting.
Is it
Yeah,
Puff-
there's
There
one
are
sitting
two
under
that are
Dragonstone.
unclaimed
What about Puff?
on in
Puff,
Dragon
the magic
Hall.
dragon. Is that one of them?
Puff is
So,
was
but-
not mentioned. I'm not saying it's not.
So Abby, I
But it
want you
was
to
not
close your
red.
eyes,
Okay.
and I want you to think of what Yakko Wacko and Dot.
Mm-hmm.
See the beautiful woman coming by. Well, hello, Vermithor.
This is
That is-
Vermithor.
Vermithor?
He
Yeah.
is the second oldest living
It's
dragon.
a big one, huh?
She.
Vegemite?
She.
Well, dragon
they're-
dragon gender's a
yeah.
swapping thing. It doesn't. There's
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's
thing.
okay.
But
This is
But
King
Vermithor.
Jaehaerys's
Okay.
mhm.
has been unwritten since. It has gone a little bit wild. It hasn't been tamed
Doesn't
for a while.
Damon already have a dragon though?
He does.
Can you have two dragons?
So whenever no.
He's trying to get on.
No.
There's some of them that don't claim.
Some
don't
are
have-
unclaimed, and people have tried to come in to see. We haven't. This is using
Well,
a little bit
no,
of
no.
book knowledge. Go ahead,
I'm
Glenn. I'm
talking
sorry.
about like some of the kids have not
Correct.
claimed,
Correct.
have not
They're
bodied
Whenever-
the
one
dragon.
Whenever he was naming off these dragons earlier, which we kind of skipped
Yeah.
over in that Benji, you mentioned it. This was when they were at the
Yeah.
table, and he talks about we have 30 knights and 100 bowmen or whatever. But then they talk about the dragons. This is the 14 or 13 to 4, 3 and 10 and 4. Sorry.
36
And
4.
while they're talking about this, they actually show Rayla, who is not a dragon rider.
Right.
She was the one that's supposed to get Vagar.
Right.
Mhm.
and specifically when he was mentioning Vermithor and the other
Starfire or
uh
Sunfire? No, Sunfire is
Dreamfire?
Starlight.
Starlight?
Oh man, I'm blanking on it. I'm blanking on it.
no
Right.
Dreamfire is Bela's,
The
I
first
believe.
star.
It is
You see the night?
North Star?
Starscream.
no, it's in there though.
Fudgesicles?
Come on.
Sound,
Somebody in
is
the
it
chat's gotta know my
SoundCloud?
reference.
I think it's SoundCloud. I think that's what it is.
It sounds like a what is that store like at the mall? Not Brooks Brothers or whatever.
PacSun. I think it's PacSun.
Like you go by, they have like the pillows that are.
Is it the
comfortable.
Gilded
Spencer's.
Guppy?
What? No, not
Not,
Spencer's.
no, anyway, is it Hot Topic the Dragon?
Yeah.
No, so specifically when he was naming them off, it focused in on Rayla for a
Mhm.
second.
Yeah.
And so my guess is he's trying to get it familiar with
With
a trusted
humans.
dragon rider so he can
Yeah.
almost like what the dragon tamers are always doing
With-
when we see them.
Yeah.
He's trying to reacclimate the idea of having a new Elmo the dragon. That's what's coming up. It seems I'm just guessing. This is a speculation. It's gonna be Rayla that rides
That's
Vermithor.
cool.
I mean,
Do you have so like before I forgot?
so it's
this.
not for himself. It's for his daughter.
That's what. Yeah, I just.
Or he's trying to get riders for all of those
But that are on their side.
Yeah. Get as much
riderless dragons.
Right.
much on the team as you can.
He's got to
Oh
get
my God,
that 3 and
Bo is
10.
taking
3 and
my
10.
headphones from me. It's okay. It's all right.
Come over here.
She's trying to kill me.
a whole bed.
I feel like this is the scene, I'm pretty sure, when they're writing out, that it is like not just the imagery of Luke flying, but also the the sound is like Harry on a hippogriff. Like
Here's my Harry and Hippogriff.
caca. Like,
And if Glenn would put his hands on my hips,
do
we're on the
torso
Titanic.
twist.
We're on the Titanic then. It's the same thing.
Law is the law.
But like I don't know why it just is like I can't not
On a pigeon.
hear it. Whatever music they're using, like I swear, like if you watch the
I think it's the new Dragon Rider theme is what that is
it-
because I've heard it multiple times throughout, and I think in those scenes
it
it's
is
the new
very
Dragon
close
Rider
to
theme.
the hippogriff ride of the hippogriff, and then
John Williams and Ramaji are too far off. So
it just
That's
was funny to me because I was like, that's weird.
Ramani.
And
Jawadi, Ramin
Jawadi.
Jawadi.
Thank you. Sorry,
Yep, you're
I
good.
knew I had it wrong. But
I
good.
know that this is a very different, like medium and whatever, but I feel like if you do dragons or flying animals, we are kind of sorry. I don't know why that's. Can you hear that?
Will you stop dinging?
I turned it off. It's
fine,
silenced.
fine.
I silence you. But I feel like I'm just watching How to Train Your Dragon when dragons take off, or like any
This is
flight.
what it's like when dragons
Dragon
collide,
Squad.
See,
or when dragons cry.
and I'm not
Cry.
even like
I was
knocking
thinking when
against
dragons
like
cry.
their
Dragons.
Both work.
graphics or whatever. It just I'm like, oh, look, it's toothless. Like I don't know.
So, Vermithor, big cliffhanger moving forward, right?
Right? We don't
we
see
just
her
he
and or
just
him.
Damon's down there and he's like, cool. There's a dragon. He wasn't killed immediately. Good
That's
start.
cute.
So there's that.
hey.
Real good start. Real good start. So,
well, we know Targaryens are immune to fire, so it wouldn't have mattered.
well, we also know that that's not true. So
Just saying. Anyway,
they're heat tolerant.
It's
They're heat resistant. They are not fireproof. Glenn, I think every episode, including finales,
you're just telling this to me.
have a final scene. Glenn, this is for you.
Glenn, there's
Glenn-
every episode has one of these as a final scene, but not everybody else. Just me.
Hey, Glenn, I just want to tell you, because I can actually see your eyes now. For some reason, I couldn't
Really?
earlier. But this happens to be this episode's and this season's final finale scene. Cheers, everyone,
Yeah.
for a fun time. Cheers, Benji. Enjoy your Elysian.
Illusion.
Lesions? Ew.
We saw those with Patty Porus,
Should have got lesions.
The Pad Master.
the Pad Master.
Him and I. Never mind.
Shh. We're ready for the final scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us
All
all
right,
about it.
cool. Luke is a dickhead. I mean, Luke arrives at Storm's End to find Vhagar chilling outside the castle. Aemon has beat Luke to the punch with his terms to Lord Boros Baratheon. Luke delivers his message and gets an underwhelming response from Baratheon as Aemon observes. Aemon demands revenge for his lost eye. Not in my house, says Baratheon. Luke attempts to flee on Eryx, but is chased by Aemon on Vhagar. Luke seems to evade the storm and the pursuit until they are munched by Vhagar. Rhaenyra appears distraught to learn her son's fate.
A lot of things going on here,
A lot
right?
of things going on
we
here.
don't need to spend. I think
don't
we
need
can
to
get through
I
them
think
fairly
we can
quick,
get
as
through
Glenn
them
would
very
say.
quickly.
But let's
let's-
talk about the landing in the courtyard. He gets off the dragon.
That's why
he
I
dismounts
buy
the
Cutter
dragon.
from now on.
But yeah,
Don't ever get off.
no,
Just buy Cutter.
deep woods, Cutter, they're fine. But you just
can't beat off.
can't beat off.
You can't
And
get
sometimes you can't get off. you
That's
can
right.
only get Cutter. That's
Yeah.
combo of jokes there.
Oh,
Glenn's is he
funny.
can't beat off. Aunt Debbie's is I just couldn't get off.
I
I,
couldn't-
was trying to get off, but
Can
I
you
couldn't
get
get
off?
off. Yeah.
no, but I can get Cutter.
I went to the store and I couldn't even get off. The whole thing. So he lands at the courtyard, right? And there's the 4 kind of guardsmen, and he's like, "Hey, cool, nice job, Eryx. Let's throw Eryx in there with Auric and Eric. Like, let's make it worse for people, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's just."
And I think this is what, to Benji's point, what he was saying when here's this small ass fucking dragon that looks like a micro machine. Here's Vhagar who looks ginormous when he was just like,
He's a Tonka
what the
truck.
fuck is
He's
that
a Tonka
thing?
truck versus a micro machine.
I had Clovis watch this scene with me because I was finishing it up again today, and I said, I want you to watch this whole thing, starting at this final scene here. He flies in, and I'm like, okay, that looks like a pretty big dragon, right? That Luke just got off. He's like, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then he sees Vhagar, and he goes, oh my god!
Like I don't.
He was like, legitimately, he was like, that's a big dragon.
I don't understand. Like, do they never stop growing?
Yes.
That's
Correct.
what I wanted to
There
know.
are theories that that's the case.
Okay, because
The older the dragon,
as long as in the
larger
wild.
dragon. And as long as they're not cooped up,
I was like,
they grow to the size of their
I get
space.
that they're,
is,
like,
another theory. So.
mythological
Dragon coop.
creatures or whatever, but I'm like, there has to be like some realm that this smaller, not infant dragon is that much tinier than this.
Well, this dragon is 13 to 14 years old. Vhagar is 200 or
Well, that's-
125.
But still, like, you have a lot of species that you
More.
hit adulthood
No, you're right.
and
you're
you
right.
stop growing.
Roughly
Your growth
125.
plates,
Yeah, like
you know, they-
Bigfoot stops growing, I think.
yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And
Grows
so,
to the
well,
size
question-
of
Yeah.
the place it lives in.
That is so
As long as there's
mute
enough- and
commander
and
of him.
the question I saw on Reddit that popped up after this scene was, how many goats and cows are killed on the daily to maintain Vhagar's caloric intake?
Oh, man.
You know,
Oh yeah,
it's just
Maybe they're cloning
like-
bigger cows.
he's a big girl.
Girl.
I mean, I think it's kind of like the megalodon, because I think the megalodon was just like a great white shark that was
Bullshit.
like,
It's a cave.
it's a Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, inside joke. You guys got a drink.
Anyway, no, a megalodon was like basically a great white shark, just like 10 times bigger, but they kind of died off because the food supply, or
yeah.
or something like
You
that.
need caves.
Because
Well-
we need more
Well, and
caves.
that, and then
How do you
Kinda same
think you
thing
get
with-
these? Come on.
at some point the wings will not
Sorry,
be able
bud.
to support the just full body mass.
Unproven. Unproven.
just saying.
Wings grow
I'm
with
just-
body
they're-
mass.
Yeah, fair.
We have no evidence otherwise.
Yeah, I mean it's proven here, so
Right.
I mean,
So,
I'm proven incorrect.
Vhagar, real fucking intimidating in that moment, right? Like, oh my god, that's enormous.
Godzilla, just
Yeah, it's like
Gojira.
Muggsy Bogues, and here, can you guard Shaq?
Right.
You know, we got a game to play.
So Luke walks up to the guards. He's like, "Hey, I'm me. Here's what I'm doing." They walk him inside. He talks to Boros Baratheon and is like, "Hey, dude, what's up? You know, I got this thing. It's kind of cool. I see this motherfucker here
I was gonna
too,
say, yeah, awkward that Aemon is right
but I'm
there
ignoring him.
as well. It's like, God damn it.
He does his job. Lucerys does his job well. He is there to be. That's one thing we didn't speak about. Rhaenyra specifically says, "You are both going as messengers only.
Yes.
Do not have any fight, even if you're provoked. Do not be in any fight. You are going as messengers only, because any action they take aggressively is the start of the war.
Right.
No one wants to be the one that has the first strike, right?
The first shot.
They don't want to fire the
The
first shot.
first blood, part 2.
Heard around the world. You want to be that guy?
I don't.
Me neither.
I don't. But he does a really good job here, I think, of passing the message along and not putting anything onto
I
it.
think specifically. So you guys at the beginning were talking about Luke being like, I feel sorry for him. I feel whatever.
I think so.
And I get that maybe that's how, but I was slightly like annoyed. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, and not really like, I was like, okay, this is the mom like doing, but I did not find him like this, like charming little, like, oh, poor kid. I just was like, come on, kid, grow up. Like, not grow
I'm like,
up.
he's like on the cusp of it. He's
he
like,
is, but it comes off as a little bit whiny to me. Like,
okay.
a little bit. And again, like, I didn't say that because that I don't actually think, but I'm like, he's a little bit whiny right now, but kids are whiny sometimes, and that's just, and they get to be whiny to people they're safe with. So I'm
right,
not like
that's his
judging.
place he can do.
Yeah, I'm not judging him for that. And I think that specifically it might have come across like that. Was
You mean like the opening scene, right?
intentionally done like that, or even like the mom versus the what, like he's coming across as immature a little bit, or like not as well polished as Jace for this scene specifically, because he shows such maturity here on the, like, I will not be baited. I am here as a messenger. Like, I am really doing a job. And I was very impressed. I think that earlier seeing kind of where he was versus what we see in this final scene shows like, hey, as Luke said, like he's right on that cusp of adulthood, and I thought it was great.
And that's a pretty intimidating thing to do, just to go to some castle you've never been to and talk to some guy you've never talked to who is intimidating in his own right.
Oh yeah,
and then
big bathroom.
Put in
right?
the variable of your uncle or whatever who doesn't like you already. You cut his eye at one point, I think.
Yeah.
And,
No, you did that.
you know, it takes a lot of courage, I guess.
And I like the fact, like,
Could've
even
just
on top of
you
that,
could just, I'm leaving. But
hey, he wrote me into
he doesn't
this.
want to be Munson, out in the middle of Storm's End.
And I think along with that idea of like the courage he shows here, he could have seen Vhagar and he knew Aemon was there. He knew that
At
he
that
wasn't the
point,
first.
yeah.
He wasn't the first
Yep.
prince here, right? Because that was what his mom told him. He's gonna love Boris Baratheon's gonna love having a prince. He will treat you so well. It's gonna be a fanfare.
Yeah, that's what. That's
As soon as he saw that Vhagar was there, he could have booked it.
Yep.
You know, being like, oh well, that
Fuck
might
this.
be out. Like I have no idea, and I don't want to deal with Aemond on my own. That would be a valid thought for him because we know Aemond is legitimately a badass in the fighting field. Even right, he is not a match for Aemond right now. He's not even a match for Jace, and we don't think Jace at this point is even a match for Aemond. We don't know, but it didn't look like it at the time.
It just looks like, I mean, definitely, was it a couple episodes ago where it just seemed like Aemon hit like a growth spurt. Like, aren't they around all the same age almost?
Fairly
kind of?
close.
But it just seemed like
yeah.
Aemon
Yeah.
just looked like he went from
0 to hero.
12 years old to like 30 years old. And where
Oh, yeah.
Just like that.
Thank you.
I think more Luke is more,
I
he
was sneezing.
seemed like he went from like 6 to 12
Sure.
or 14 or something like that.
And so either way, I think the courage of following through with the order at hand is commendable and worth giving praise to Luke in this moment for sure. Here's to Luke, everyone. You know, and me as well.
All right.
Here's to me.
Here's to all the Lukes of the
I'm
world.
the best.
No, so he goes through with it, and Boris, he brings the letter to him, and clearly Boris doesn't seem like he can read.
A guy in 007.
Boris, Boris, yeah, this is Boros, but yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, you are right. In 007 GoldenEye, Boris, yeah. Especially the video game.
I know things.
She drinks too. So he hands the letter, and the maester gets called in because I don't know if Boris Baratheon can read or not, apparently, or he just doesn't
We're
want to be
not
bothered.
judging.
I
by
got
his
somebody to read
bedroom.
my stuff for me.
So I'm
I
gonna
would
have
love
him
it.
read it.
It's called Audible. I
There you
highly
go.
recommend it.
Hey,
Except
we
for
don't.
Harry
I don't
Potter.
think we have
I can't get into it.
our.
The guy who reads Harry Potter.
Which one?
The
There. Oh,
fifth
I gotta
one,
get
I
you
think
the.
it
I gotta
is.
get you the other. The other.
You got to give me the other one.
because
then.
there's the U.S. version, which is Jim Dale, and then there's the
which is
other one.
which is the better version.
Which
the
is
Jim
the-
Dale
That's
is
the one I'm talking about.
better
That one
version.
sucks.
Oh, I think he's great.
I like
I
both of them. Oh,
Really? I haven't heard the other
I
version.
can put it
can't-
on
I can't
Audible, and
stand
then
the other
I'm
one.
gonna fall asleep. So
I can't think of his name right
That's
now,
right,
and that's
I-
embarrassing because he's
it's-
a really famous British actor. I can't
Fuck.
think of his name.
What is it? Give me.
he's so
I'm
cool.
not gonna
I
Yeah,
just Google it.
it sounds like.
yeah,
he
look it
is.
up.
He's a
Either
good
way,
guy.
I like him a lot. I do. But either way,
Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry is exactly correct. Yep, thank you.
Stephen Fry.
Yep, and I like listening to him talk. I like hearing shit. I don't like him reading Harry Potter. That's just me. I like Jim Dale. But
Before we get on an
Anyway.
Audible, because we could just do an Audible show. I could
Hey,
I
I'm
could do
listening
a
to
whole
good book
podcast
now.
on
Yeah.
Audible just
Omaha.
only.
yeah.
Yes. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about that in the future.
Maester Audible.
Mr. Audible over here.
Mr.
Oh
Audible.
yeah. So to get through this, we see Boros get the message, and he says, I am not a dog to, be at the beck and call of this so-called queen. And it's not going well for Luke, right? Boros kind of
kid.
throws it back and says, I'm not doing this. Like, I've got better terms from them because one of them, Aemond, it seems like, is going to marry one of his daughters, and
Yeah, they
Luke can't
gave
do
him,
it.
They spiced up, the offer.
All right, so everyone's got to choose. Which sister would you have picked? You got to pick.
Sporty Spice.
No. Of the three that they showed, there wasn't a Sporty Spice Baratheon, as far as I know.
I don't.
She didn't
remember.
look
the
that
one
close?
Aemon
No.
picked was kind of the sporty, but she was one of the posh.
Do we know which one he
Spice.
picked?
The one that was standing next to him.
I thought
That
it was just
that
the
was
three.
the.
I thought it was just the three. I think that was
there's
somebody
the-
else.
There's the
I don't think that was
That
one of
might
his
be the-
daughters.
okay, because there's.
I don't
another
know
thing,
for
again,
sure.
Spoilers a bit. I heard a name of a Rivers come out in regard to Aemond. That might have been who that was. That
Mm.
might be just his
Ashmere
friend
Rivers. You'll
or
learn
something.
about him later.
Yeah.
But no, like I heard the name thrown out. I thought that's who that might have been.
Gertie
But then
Rivers.
thinking, then Baratheon was like, we already have a marriage pact, and he's standing next to a girl. He's standing next, and it's like making it seem like this is the one he's picked. This is who, which my daughters, and they showed
Yeah,
two
did it?
others. I thought
She's his
he
shaboobie.
did have three. I thought they did have three, but there was one standing
that
next to
was next to
Aemon,
him.
and there were two others. Like that. That's the way I
Yeah.
remember. But I could
they
be
showed
incorrect
they
if there were
showed three. Whenever he said which daughter will you marry, they showed three
They
There
standing.
showed the
are
one- they
4
showed-
storm daughters.
There you go. Okay, so
Okay.
4 storm daughters. So
No, that's fine.
Uh,
Just the way that they shot
okay.
it,
There
it
was
wasn't
3.
super. They just said, when she
Choose
said it, they just
three,
showed
my
the 3 to the
lord.
side.
Choose 3.
Pick number 3.
Yeah.
Either way, so
I would pick number 4.
number 2
I
looked
am
all right.
obviously very,
Clearly, I know them well.
very heterosexual because I couldn't even tell you anything about any of those girls. Like,
Yeah,
I knew the one had
I
dark
didn't know we
hair.
were supposed
That
to
was
pick
my-
one.
2 of them looked much older than Luke,
really.
for sure.
Well, I thought they
mean-
all looked older than him, but
I mean, like
Everybody looks older.
much older.
mature.
Mature. Anyway, so he
Amazingly.
clearly says, "I can't do that because I'm already betrothed," and he's like, "So you come empty-handed?
This
You
poor
offer me
kid.
nothing
Mhm.
besides you need me."
I got 2 eyes.
And got 2 eyes, but you're speaking out of one of them. So Luke, takes the information. He goes, "I will take your response back to the queen." Right? Responsible, respectable.
Yeah.
He's doing his fucking
So
job.
just a no then, right?
So should I write you down as no and a no plus 1?
All right, a no would have worked.
A simple no would have been fine, but
Nope, right out.
so he turns to leave, and Aemond goes, "But wait, there's more." Benj, you would talk about Aemond calling him back.
Oh, well, yeah. So, yeah, he calls him back and he's like, hang on, cousin. Hang on, Lord
Nephew.
Strong.
Yeah, he does call
Yeah,
him Lord
well,
Strong, but he is
He
nephew.
said, yeah.
Yep.
He says, "Hey, yeah, pardon me, nephew. Isn't that good, Lord Strong?" And that's what makes Jay or Luke turn around, where he was just walking. He was like, "Ignore it." Pulling the old Hermione Granger, "Ignore it." And then,
It's
"Oh,
not
Lord
worth
Strong."
it.
You
Or
know,
worse,
and
expelled.
and he turns around and he's like, "I'm not here to fight. I'm here as a messenger, not as a warrior." And David's like, "I don't give a fuck. You
I'm
took
here
my
for
eye. Now
whatever.
I'm ready to
I
get busy too.
I want my shit back." And yeah, he peels off the thing, and I think Abby's got a
What
thought
is
on
it
that.
made of?
Blue.
It's very interesting.
I want to know what it's made of.
I really do.
I'm glad that he
I thought they
showed
said
me.
sapphire. Somebody said
I
sapphire.
mean, they didn't
Ew.
say anything
I mean,
in
I'm
the
not-
show
I
for
said,
sure.
this is
but-
sapphire.
Yeah,
I thought I
like,
remember
Do you
saying
see
that.
this sapphire?
I mean, I'm not
That's what he
saying
said.
that it
That's what he
has
said.
more
Yeah.
of a significance than it does, but I like of the coloring. The only place I've seen that in Game of Thrones is North of the Wall. Is all I'm saying.
Clovis was a big fan of the gem in the eye thing too.
Gemini.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got it, might as well use it to hold something there. You know,
I
Hey.
think
put it to use.
who's that guy? Hans Wyman. He would have figured out.
Hands.
Hans
Hans
Wyman.
Wyman.
Is
He
it
would get
Morton
hands,
Royce.
hair
I'm-
loss
Hans
or
I'm-
eye
Wyman.
loss?
He would have
Yeah,
You've
figured
got
out
some
Hans
eye
Wyman
loss.
was-
We can grow you a new eye with eye implants.
No, I'm going Morton Royce. You know.
Oh yeah, Ninja Bling.
Ninja Bling.
Ninja Bling.
But yeah, I do wonder what
Check
it's
'em
made out of.
out.
Like seriously, more than just being like, oh, it's just a gem. Like I feel like.
I
But
think it
is
is. I think it is.
Is it just a gem?
I think
Okay,
so.
It's a cool looking
What
gem.
a
I
gem.
like it.
I think it's
That
just
is.
a gem.
So
Yeah,
most of
I
them-
it's
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think
It
it,
may
actually
have
was
some
the White
significance
Walkers.
later
That's
but
on.
not what I
that
meant.
color itself is very icy blue. I get it.
That's
Yeah.
And I don't think you're making it a White
no,
Walker
no, no,
connection.
no. I don't think that.
No.
I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe he's the original White Walker, but maybe he's not.
We already know about the Song of Ice
I'm
and Fire
just
being a
kidding. I'm
thing,
just
so-
joking. Like, but
You ever heard of The Long Night? It's like,
Let me tell you.
Oh,
That one got
why-
canceled.
we got a couple more hours, right? Glenn
But-
will die if we go more hours, so
I
we
know.
got to speed this up.
no.
He's already melted.
I've already died.
He's already putty. He's made of putty.
I mean, you could take it off. That's all I'm saying.
Take it off. Anyway, so Lucerys pushes back, right? And he goes, I will not fight you. Throws the dagger. He's like, I'm not fucking doing this. And Boris Baratheon stands up. He goes, not in my house, you know? He specifically is like, do not break guest right for like in my fucking house. Like, don't do that shit.
Yeah.
Take guards, take him back, take Lucerys back to his dragon so he can leave.
He does.
Aemon doesn't love it, but he lets him go. Lucerys gets out to his dragon, and guess what? Gigantic fucking Vhagar isn't there anymore. Like he even looks. And Luke goes to Arax, and he's like, focus. We got to get this job done. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
Like, let's work with me here.
Get out of Dodge, if you will.
Takes off. Abby, you want to take the reins on the fly through the rainy storm
So
stuff?
this is very much like
Pirates of the Caribbean.
movie 6 when the Death Eaters are coming in. Like I'm hitting sorry.
No.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking
I
about?
got you.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep, at the burrow.
Like
Hard to see. You know.
and I'm
like-
just like, whoa, what are we doing here? Like this, whatever. Anyways, so they're flying through, and there definitely is a little bit of, well, no, not a little bit. We see him flying. He's got out of there, and all of a sudden you see that fly over, and I obviously
This was the whole reason I had Clovis watch this. I wanted him to see this as
Right.
well.
so we saw what's the other dragon, the big dragon's name.
Vhagar.
We saw
Vhagar.
him waiting at the Baratheons thing, and like obviously it's big, but like this when that's why this note is here, like in this order, because how does that size difference happen? Like that is a gigantic
Couple
dragon.
hundred years.
Holy moly. It's really well done.
It's like more than a 787, like compared to a little
gum wrapper.
Like a pack of gum taken off. Like,
When we used to
paper
fly
airplane.
into where we lived before in North Carolina, we'd always have to connect flights. And we'd be like, don't worry, I'm just getting on the gum wrapper. Like, no, I'll be home in like 30 minutes. I'm getting on the gum wrapper now. Because after you get off the big planes, you just get in this little bing, 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 bing. So, that
I bet
happened.
we'll be the paramedics by 15 minutes.
Yes. Yep.
I'll meet you at the scene of the crash.
Yeah. And then I think both of the dragons kind of do like test their riders a lot in this scene.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. So right now they're both obeying. They're both
And they're
doing their
just
thing.
flying.
And they're flying, and Aemond is toying.
Is that all it
Yeah,
is? He
with
just
Luke,
starts
is
to
how I-
taunt.
that's how
Yeah.
I
He's
took it
taunting
too.
him. He's
Yeah.
trying to scare him, and so the difference between the dragons is obviously, and again, Clovis pointed this all out too, which I was so proud of him for.
What a great kid.
He did a good job, because I was like, hey, how do you think this is going to pan out as he sees this going on? And he goes, well, the smaller one should be faster and should be able to turn a lot quicker. I'm like, great point. And he goes, well, but the bigger one's got a lot more powerful wings, so he might be faster overall. And I'm like, you just fucking nailed it. Like, that's exactly what's going on here. So like, one's quicker and more maneuverable, and one's much better at top speed, you know, and takes more to. It's like racing with Bowser in Double Dash, right? You get up to speed, but you're not beating him if you get in straightaways.
Well, you're never going to beat Mario.
I am
I
not a
will-
NASCAR person, and it might not be NASCAR.
And Mario was the best NASCAR.
CPU Mario.
Yeah.
CPU Mario with blue
I
shells.
believe in the last couple days in a
distinction.
NASCAR race, somebody went full
I
throttle
saw that
along the wall and
Yeah.
actually, like, I know
Which
nothing
is
about.
actually against the rules, is what I've heard in other circuits.
Not
but
because
apparently
he
not
got
in this
it.
one.
It
Yeah.
was cool. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not like necessarily a fan. I don't follow it. I know nothing, but I was like, okay. Phew.
So we get this cool chase scene, right? We have maneuverability and tight, small areas versus giant, faster, overall more powerful.
It's like when
In the middle
Dory...
of like a
A
thunderstorm.
It's Storm's End, and it lives up to its name here. I think that's actually even how they say it in the Fire and Blood. They're like, and it's because it was actually supposed to be storming when he first gets there too, but they
And it
didn't.
was kind of like
they-
overcast, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily.
But when he takes off, it lives up to
Pouring.
its name,
Sure.
Storm's End. It is torrential, and I actually thought like the graphics of the rain looked good. Usually, rain's kind of hard to do, and they did many different angles, and I thought it looked pretty good, just
I didn't
image wise.
notice. I mean, like, it didn't throw me out of it, so I assume it's good, which is, you know,
Yeah.
We
I
have
didn't have anything to bitch
we
about
have the
that.
pod racer through the cliffs scene. Right?
I would say it's
gorge.
Nemo going through the trench, not over it.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair.
Fair.
Yeah. Ben, you want to take it away after he gets out of the gorge?
So he gets out of the gorge and he's in the clear. He's
In the
he
true
can go.
clear.
He's in the clear. The sky, and then no, not that point yet. No, the still the gorge. Then Eric's he loses control. Eric's takes a shot at Vagar,
Yep.
Right. This is
and
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 he
it's
Vader
like,
gets
I'm
a little
thinking,
too close for comfort.
Even Damon,
Well, yeah, I mean,
I
he-
think.
Damon.
Aemon, sorry, knows that it was a loss of control, right?
Because
Like,
he overhears
Like,
Lucerys
that's not-
saying, no, Eric's,
Eric."
no,
yeah,
no.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
just
so
wanted
he's
to-
like-
and that's when Aemon starts calling out saying, Vagar, no, Vagar, stay, Vagar,
Immediately.
obey, Vagar,
Yeah.
and he's because he knows what's gonna happen, and he loses control
Yeah.
at that point, and that's when that's when he gets into the clear because that's still in the storm.
Right.
Comes back out of
right.
the canyon into the storm, takes the shot, and he gets in the clear. Makes it away, and then he doesn't. And yeah, I had heard about the scene. There was spoilers for this whole episode. Apparently,
Yeah, if you read
I
the
did not
book.
watch
Well, it's
well,
been
you read the
rolling
book,
for me
but-
for years.
It's funny.
the episode. The
It was the
episode
most
aired.
pretentious thing you've ever said. I love it.
I've
That
been
was
waiting for
good.
this
It was
scene.
good.
I've been waiting for
You
this.
deserved
good.
it. Every bit of that you deserved. I
Thank
loved
you.
it.
So
Thank you.
we were on
I've
our
been
way
looking
home
forward to
from
this scene, this whole thing.
you know we're on our way home from Illinois, and my wife's like, "So you know what happens?" I'm like, "I do know. I have not watched anything, but I do know because I do know about spoilers. And I've looked ahead and I've read what's supposed to happen. I'm just that guy, but I don't, So I'm like, I do know what's supposed to happen." And she goes, yeah. So this. I'm like, wait, what? Like one chomp? She's like, yeah. And so the scene comes. I'm like, no fucking way.
Right out the sky.
Sure shit. One
we
snap. I'm
chomped
like,
him. We chomped him.
We chomped him.
we chomped him.
Well, I think so.
You know,
I think like do you think it's just a thing of Aemon just man like yeah he's bonded a little bit with Vhagar, just doesn't have that next level.
I love exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Like I think you're right. I agree with
He
you.
doesn't have the the expert level of
It's still fairly new on a very
bonding
old
and
dragon
training.
who's
Yeah.
had several writers. And counterpoint to that, Arax is still so young, and
Yeah.
Both of them are.
Luke doesn't fly all the time. You know, like
yeah.
neither one of them are. They're bonded and they're tight, but it's not a hyper
It's not a-
loyalty to each
Yeah,
other. It's not a-
training. Yeah.
Never
I
realized.
love that you made that point because I was gonna make that, but I was gonna wait.
Oh, did I-
Perfect.
did I jump
No,
there?
not at all. Because I'm
Way to
glad
go,
because
boy.
I really believed that same thing for sure, and because Vhagar is a domineering piece of work herself, right?
She's a total mare.
and she's earned that. And guess what? If she's gonna get hit by some little pipsqueak little fucking dragon, guess what? She knows what being a dragon is. This dragon's about to find out.
It's not gonna stand.
Right. I'm the queen dragon.
Yeah, it's like
when it comes down to it.
it's not the size of the dog in the fight. And, sometimes it's the size.
Sometimes it's the size of the dog in the fight.
That's sassy.
so the
Ask,
sassy.
oh shit, what's his name? Ares. Ask Ares.
Oh,
Sometimes
God.
it's just the
Yeah,
dog in the
that's-
fight.
But to
Next
my little
door.
story there.
That's the story for another.
apparently the online backlash,
Maybe
the
after.
Twitter backlash from the spoilers that came out, everyone's like, "Oh, Aemon's acting all upset and everything, and that's crap. He shouldn't be, and because he's supposed to have." And well, I understand, and this is like
no,
instant reaction. to,
I think I'm on board with you.
I want you to finish
And-
what the internet was wrong about.
Yeah, I'm on
Continue.
board
Please
with
that's-
you.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
So like, and I'm thinking it's the internet
That
thing. Yeah,
all
watch the
wasn't for
spoilers,
you.
but they're
The
but
internet.
it wasn't like because it was at that moment. Cue the office music or wherever the fuck this is from. As at that moment, Aemon know he done fucked up,
Ye-
and he's
yeah.
like, I just started. I don't think he cares about killing Luke. I do think he doesn't care about killing Luke. He's that type of person that doesn't care about that.
I
But
think
he knows the
does.
happened.
I think he does.
Well,
I think
I-
he does. That's on me though.
I think
That's-
he still-
That's where I'm at.
because he was willing to cut out his cousin's eye,
Yeah,
and
that's
he
it,
was, yeah, but he. At the same point, how often do you actually survive an eye cutting out, and
I mean, he
from
did.
blood loss and all that? But he didn't
Kinslayer's
care
a
if
whole
he
different
would've-
thing than eye for an eye.
I get it.
That's where
Yeah,
I think
and
he
then
is.
that's
I think
fair.
he just wanted to
I
taunt
think
him.
I think he cared less
Taunt,
about
taunt.
killing Luke than
Then
he did
starting the
about
war,
the-
being
yeah.
casting that first
Yeah.
stone.
He like yeah.
exactly. He realized, oh, that's the look. He's like,
Yeah.
oh,
And
I think it's a
Very
combination of both. to
It'll
some
be
extent.
like
Yeah.
interesting to see the narrative that he portrays next season. Whenever it's like,
I mean, at this point, it just feels like he's gonna have to double down and just be like, "Well, here we
There
are."
So many questions.
yeah, he
You know?
attacked me, so I I killed him or whatever.
His dragon attacked my dragon, and I told my dragon, but my dragon wasn't having it. And,
And I said
and
no,
guess who's
but
gonna
yeah.
believe him? Like it won't matter.
I know we're running a little long. I want to bring one quick piece into this,
Here's
and this
one
was
quick piece, ladies and gentlemen.
after we didn't record the Wanders and His Lost podcast a week ago because Bailey fell asleep, because that happens,
Yeah.
all of us are tired all the
Yeah.
time. Support your local podcaster. It's kind of a hard job sometimes, but I had a chance to sit down with Melissa and Riley, Mr. Nerofsey himself, and the
Wild goose.
house algorithm.
House algorithm.
So they both had very different opinions. I was just putting quarters in the machine because they
listening.
wouldn't be have a chance to talk about this episode, but we had all just watched the episode. Melissa very much disagreed with you about Damon, is what I'll say.
oh, she loves him,
She
and I'd like to
and
slap her. It's the only thing I've ever
But
disagreed
on
about.
this
Melissa.
final scene, Riley could not stand the graphics at all on the chump. He thought it was fucking terrible. He could not get
oh, I
past it.
didn't mind that.
It for him.
It was
And
too- yeah.
I'm just saying what I heard. He could not get over how bad he thought it was compared to how good everything else in the show is, it took him out of it. And I've gone back and like critically looked at it a few times, and I just don't see. I haven't sat down and watched it side by side with him.
For him to sit down and say,
and feel like what it is.
I don't
like,
think any of this flying stuff looks good.
No,
I don't think any of the flying stuff is good. Like, it reminds me of Harry Potter and How to Train Your Dragon. Like,
you mean the writer stuff and more the pullback dragon flying stuff?
The only thing I've seen that looked good with a dragon was the flyover scene here, because I was taken out about how big that fucking dragon was compared.
So yeah,
like that's it.
No,
that's all.
So what that means to me is, hippogriff stuff was good.
Hippogriff
back in the day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't look any more real
we're
to me.
15 years. We're 15 years later.
I don't think it's bad. It's not pulling me out of what's going.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
It's really like I don't believe it as real. Like I've believed other things to be like it is as real as the hippogriff riding scene. That's
so my point. The chomp itself was actually pretty cool. I liked that. I didn't think that graphics was bad. The flyover scene was really cool. I liked that. The shot from under Eric's and you see Vhagar come over to the top. That was pretty cool.
That was great.
Anytime you get a dragon rider on the back, that looks like crap. And most of the flight through the storm was hard to see because of the darkness. It's the old adage with the Game of Thrones, they darken everything because it's easier to hide
Nothing
shit.
is dark. I
didn't think it was.
This wasn't as dark as
had a problem at all in this season.
It wasn't as dark. It wasn't as dark. It wasn't as dark as other things. But it still wasn't.
I have not had a problem with darkness in this season at all.
I don't hate the graphics
really
at all. I just don't think they're like nothing has blown me away, except for like just the sheer size. And I'm not saying that was a graphic. Like I was just like, oh my god.
Oh Lord!
So, fair points.
I thought it was cool that Luke gets out of the storm and it looks like, oh, I got out of danger. Like, cool.
Yeah.
And then like turns out he didn't because here comes the chomp, you know.
That is true, right? Like I felt like it was like the hurricane. Like you're in the eye. Oh God, thank God.
We're out.
Just kidding.
You know,
that
in that conversation with House Algorithm, she was watching it with her son as well. And as soon as Luke gets into those clear skies, her son goes, "That they're toast." He knew. He was like, "I can just tell." That big dragon's coming back
because things are finally good. Guess what's happening?
He just called it, and it was he could tell. That was like one of the more Game of Thronesy things we've seen in a while, like action Game of Thrones. And whether or not this was a great finale, we can talk about that here in a minute. Let's hold on to that. Let's get to this the true end of the scene where we have Rhaenyra hearing the information from Daemon, but no words are spoken. We just see her react, and again. An ultra tier acting job from her hearing this when she's walking towards that fire and she has that little quarter stumble of like, I can't faint. I can't lose it because I have to be strong.
Yep.
But you can feel with her
everything.
Yeah. It's so well done. I thought it was amazing.
According to Emma, shout out to Matt Smith for all of that, because originally the scene was her standing at the head of the table. He comes in, whispers to her. She looks upstairs at the camera. Scene.
Oh, see, that would have been okay.
She could have done
okay.
It
would have been okay.
But
I like this
it was Matt
way
Smith's
better.
idea to say, let's turn our backs, stumble a bit, and turn around. Or maybe the stumble was in there. Maybe it was she hears it, stumbles, and looks back up. But it was the turning the back to the fire.
Time. Yeah, let's create some time in between.
Turn the back to the fire and then come back full.
Because she has to go through that full gamut of emotions of feeling that loss. Because we've had so many moments with her and Luke. They've played it up to make that a thing, right?
Absolutely.
But they did that to show the true love and nature between those two, that we have to see it not just go straight to rage. You can't go straight to rage from there.
Heartbreak has to happen.
You have to go through that loss. And she does 3 of those steps in 3 steps.
I also
it's so great.
Let me say one nice thing about Daemon. I do not believe that if you were telling like a mother, the type of mother that Rhaenyra has proven herself to be, you go up to her just like, hey, by the way, Like,
Oh, and also,
like your kid died. Like, you were gonna give her as much space.
where is your ear?
Can't find it. But I feel like that is a more authentic way to give a parent the new, like, pull them as
It's
far
very different
away.
than the Rainey's thing,
Yes.
which is a very different context.
Yes.
It's a totally
very
different
different
context.
context, whatever, because this has any death, any loss that you have has every right to break you. But those, like, parent-child relationships, like, they're sacred. Oh, whatever. Whatever. Don't take me too.
Don't get me. Don't
get-
walk away
no.
from it. No.
Oh, I'm saying, like, her dad died. That's a parent. But, like, a parent to their child's relationship
A
is
parent
very
losing a child.
hard, right? And I think him saying no, like, we need to, like, turn our backs or whatever, I
Hey.
think is more authentic than just, by the way. Like, I like that choice.
So we didn't get the Baratheons,
Yeah,
and
and-
also,
right.
I think
Mhm.
Lucerys is dead.
Well,
I
like, how
I
does she
think-
not feel guilty about that?
I'm sure she does. I'm sure
Because
she
I'm
does.
Sure, she does. We'll see how that pans
we'll
out.
see how that
I
pans
think
out. I
moving
bet she
forward,
does,
but I
absolutely.
guarantee she's got guilt. There's no way she
She's
wouldn't.
got guilt.
But she has
It's
jobs.
multiplying.
But she's got jobs to do. So, any other thoughts on that? I thought it was brilliant. It was great.
I'm scared of her now.
Now that
This
that
is kinda,
switch is
yeah,
formally.
bring her
flipped.
I
into
mean,
the
like,
fight.
Oh, it couldn't have been. It couldn't have been a full day because she said you will have our answer on the morrow. So it couldn't have been a full day from any of that.
Maybe it's
it-
But we
not-
talked about the other
do nothing.
earlier.
We're
I-
not going
you
to
know,
give an
that's-
answer. Silence is an answer sometimes.
The do nothing option.
I'm scared because I feel like
Silence is golden sometimes.
I'm scared for, like, Allison and stuff because all gloves are off. The humanity and the nice, like, the humanity she had before is gone. Probably is my guess. I'm scared.
And
a
on
good way.
that note, let's start wrapping this episode up. So, episode title accuracy: The Black Queen.
Yep.
This is a super Rhaenyra heavy episode, right? So,
Yeah.
works. All thumbs up. There you go. 8 thumbs way up. Description accuracy: while mourning a tragic loss, Rhaenyra tries to hold the realm together.
She tries to, yeah. I mean,
I think she
I mean,
does.
that's her goal. That's her.
That's
yeah.
her definitely her goal.
Sure.
And Daemon prepares for war.
absolutely true.
I think this is,
one track mind.
Did he
but
really?
not because he
I
has got
want
other
a
things going on
job.
too. He
I have a job. I'm gonna do it. It's a really important job. The only
why
important
why
job.
is that being flagged? Blood and cheese.
Blood, maybe.
No. Oh yeah,
Cheese.
blood and cheese. Don't Jake say nothing more. Say nothing more. That's what I'm most excited about coming up. Don't give anything more away for these fucking noobs. Don't
There's
tell
gonna-
them.
Is there going to finally be, what are they called? Like the Night King? What are they called though?
The Rat King.
No. Night King. He has
the White Walkers.
the White Walkers. Do they finally get the rats? Because why would you not make rats White Walkers?
Rats.
just
What was that
saying.
in Canto?
Get the vermin.
Anyway,
There was a
so all of those things are very, very true. Very, very true. And yes, this is a perfect time. Thank you, Mikey Two Hearted, for I meant to do this earlier, but I didn't. Get in your episode title, the Drinks and Nose Things
Scripts.
episode title suggestions. And there's one right there called "Boom Goes the Vegemite," and that's not exactly what I said, but that's a much cleaner version of what I did say.
And so you use it.
We'll use that. Does anyone here know what Vegemite is?
Mhm.
Vegemite
Yes, I
sandwich?
ordered. I am so mad. I ordered some off of Amazon because I want to try
Why?
it. It's yeast
Ugh.
extract. That's basically what it is. It's yeast extract.
It's not
And
what
I've
it's
heard
not.
it's really good on
It's
toast.
just spent
well,
yeast. It's
it's
the scum from the bottom of beer.
scum
yes.
of the earth.
and I
No,
want to
it's-
try it. Like
Scum of the fermenter is really
yeah,
what it is.
and I want to. I want to try it. Like
You ordered
especially on
some?
like toast with butter.
Yummy.
I ordered some and it never came. And the order got
Huh.
actually I don't even got paid. I never got it back.
Do you know what their
like, got my
official
money back.
slogan
Somebody
is?
got that
Their
order.
official
Someone's eating
slogan
that
is
Sandwich
you
right
either
now.
love it or hate it.
Which,
That is
yeah.
truly
And
their
I want to
motto.
try it. You know,
I want to try it too.
want
I
to
haven't
try
had it. I haven't had it. So
So
I did say, "Boom goes the vaginamite." That's what I said. I can't even say it straight.
I know.
Vaginamite. Boom. There you go. All right. So least favorite or favorite things. Are we doing both for the finale? We just go with
Whatever
you
got.
choose. Abby, Gertrude. I will start with you. 'Cause
Benji,
you can do whatever you want.
you can do whatever you like. Let's
Nope.
have.
No.
Anyways, Benji really said exactly my favorite thing earlier, and I was like, "Yep, yep, yep." I really, really appreciate that there are some strong heroic depictions of multiple women, who are such a force to be reckoned with.
There goes my answer.
And again, like I said earlier, it's not like, oh, look, we're gonna do the girl superhero movie. Oh, we're
Cool
gonna do
girl
the
stuff. Dudes do the guy thing.
Yes.
Right.
These are like pivotal roles that aren't just like, oh, hey, we're gonna make a chick story about this hero. No, this is like where women shine in their own feminine lives. Like, it's not too far pulled out that it's like, oh, look at this one off-cast badass. Like, don't get me wrong, love Arya, but she had to push back through so many like social norms and blah 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 to be that person. Like, we don't see Rhaenys doing that, and we don't see Alicent doing that.
Yeah, Arya
And
had to be a
there's-
boy at one time.
Right. Like, but they're just, you can see the strength within those two women. And even Rhaenyra is treading this line of mom, wife, whatever. She happens to be
Regal as well.
I mean, a queen, like, or the lineage, what do you mean, heir to the throne.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. But none of them are being like so overtly like, I do not want to be a girl. Like, you are seeing some true heroism coming out of this in a just kind of authentic setting. Okay, Glenn, I'm done talking.
No,
No, he's regulating. He's thermally regulating.
I heard it. God damn, she fucking done
That
yet.
was not a huff and a puff.
It
that was
was.
I'm trying to stay
survive.
alive.
Yeah.
And blow myself out of here. Gotcha.
Blow myself out of here. Boom goes the vagina. Right?
The Gumby might.
Glendog, favorite or least
Or
favorite
least
thing?
Yeah, like this episode, like it was better than last episode that we saw, but at the same time, like it's your run of the mill. Felt like they're just trying to tee up next season. No,
Agreed.
No, I agreed. I agreed.
yeah,
Bench, least favorite thing?
actually agreed with Glenn. There was nothing great or spectacular about this episode, but there was nothing that sucked. It was like it was an episode. It was fun. It was enjoyable. I'd say getting the full specter of Vagar, like the true size, because we started flying with Lena, and it didn't really show off her size in that scene when Lena and Aemon or
Yeah.
Damon were flying together.
And Pentos.
So I'll
Or-
yeah,
or-
I'll
yeah,
put
yeah.
that like getting to actually see the true size of Vagar, that's my favorite thing.
Man, I had a lot of favorite things. I really enjoyed this episode. And I understand. Well, I'll save that for a final thought. But if I had to pick a favorite, I don't really think I have a least favorite thing. I think my favorite thing, and this might be, I'm underselling it because there's a lot of things I love too. But when our boy E.E. Rick shows up with the crown,
E.E. Rod.
E.E. Rick, it's gotta be. When he shows up with the crown and walks up and they let him pass and he swears his oath with no question because he knows the other side. He knows exactly what the other side is and he's like, I'm not for it. And like that vote of confidence and the way, like the whole crowning thing, I thought was awesome. I really enjoyed that scene and I like that Rhaenys didn't kneel. And I like that a lot of Rhaenys was one of my favorite things of this whole episode too. The way that all works out. Like this whole episode was my favorite thing. I really liked this. And I'll save my other thought on that for a final thought. Rebuttal. Go for it.
Can you give me the name of Danny's like little male guy who there was 2.0.
It's about Wormtongue.
Dario.
Worm.
Dario 2.0.
So Eric looks like Dario 1.0. I'm happy to have him.
Eric.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I mean, close.
He looks like
I
1.0
think,
or 2.0.
1.0, the hot one,
She's
right?
saying
With the
1.0.
long
She's
hair.
saying
No,
fucking
he was
Francis.
super blonde and
Yeah.
Well, he had
fucking
long
Francis
hair,
had,
right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
Playboy
like and
Barbie,
and
like-
And
Yeah,
the other
weird.
one looked like freaking like gross. Sucked.
tell Bailey that and see how that goes.
What is that guy's
I will
name?
fight Bailey on
What Driver?
1.0
Adam
versus
Driver?
2.0.
He looked like
I
Adam
don't
Driver.
give a shit. I hated both of them. What a worthless
As far
character,
as
in my
far
opinion.
as Eric though, like I think it was kind of a miss, you know, because he knows the other side too. Like he wasn't really vocal in any of the council meetings.
Nothing that we saw, but I don't think he knows much more than what they know. Like, I don't think he's got much insider information that changes what they're doing, right? I mean,
I think he's got some.
we probably didn't see it, but he's not holding anything back. I don't think he's doing anything nefarious of holding information back at all. If he has a chance to talk about it. Oh, there's Moni G. Cool. Thanks for being here. So after our favorite, least favorite things, we talk about our own show title. I think there's only been one recommendation.
Does anybody have anything else?
Boom goes the Vegemite.
I mean,
And I'm open to we could also have our own in house as well.
new math.
New math.
I'm
New
just
math.
kidding. Your Vegemite is way better. I'm just looking through notes right
New
here.
I'm excited to see new map.
My only suggestion would have been one of mine. Well, hello, Vermithor. But
For that
I like
15
better.
sec. Yeah, I think it's just
Yep,
got to be
it is.
boom. Boom. There goes the Vegemite.
It wins. I mean,
Yeah,
like, I
that's
didn't
what
even want to
that'll work.
suggest.
And I love that that's not even the real line,
Nope, it's good.
but I like.
If you know, you
But
know.
one you can
If-
put on iTunes.
Yeah, I can't write vaginamite.
I bet you
on
could.
Have
I-
you tried though?
Virginia might.
Virginia might.
It's not gonna know what that word is if it's all one word.
No, it's not.
We're gonna put Vegemite
Yeah,
though.
if you-
We're gonna
if you-
put Vegemite.
If you
That's
spell
okay.
the word wrong, is that
To the new math
Don't-
and the old.
To the new. God damn, Mikey. For not only
That
is
was
your name
funny.
actually John, but you also provided us with some great beers,
Couple of
and
Roosters.
I truly appreciate it.
They shared
And,
none with me, just so you
Well,
know.
we offered. Actually, we didn't.
No, you fucking.
You weren't
didn't.
here when we talked about
Hey,
it.
I only have one straw.
You can try. Here you go. Here, try this one. You won't like it.
Okay.
You're not gonna like it. It's a hazy IPA.
It smells good though.
Enjoy it. Have it. That is the Cannonball Coming.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks, Mikey. Actually, it's not bad. It's just,
Not
It's
your
alright.
cup of tea.
A bit bitter.
but it has a fruity, soury taste a little bit too,
It does.
and I can dig that.
And
It's
while
like
you're digging
grapefruit.
that, can you tell somebody about another podcast that we do here on this show, on this channel?
Yeah. Do you have a preference of which one I speak about?
Give it to Wanderers and Is Lost.
All right. So we have a podcast called not we, they, I, the collective we have a
The Royal We.
we have a podcast that is called That Wonders. The podcast that wonders and is lost. That's what
Wanders.
wanders. I don't know. I'm struggling over here. It's
Wanderlust.
great. I've had. Anyways, so
And anyways,
no, we're gonna go with that.
Only amateurs.
No. It covers the first season of
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power, and I believe their final season finale episode is being shot on Sunday.
Correct.
Sunday.
Correct.
I'm reading.
Similar to this finale, it's been shifted a few times.
You know what? In the podcast That Family or Drawbridge Media, we have had kind of a chaotic couple weeks. So we're going to give ourselves grace. But anyways, you can, seriously, we are. But you can follow Luke, Melissa, Riley, Mr. Narrows himself, and Bailey, which I wish I could come up with it right now.
What her? Oh, you're talking about
I wish I could do it.
Sassy McGlassy
Sassy McGlassy.
is who you're thinking
Yes,
of.
it is. Absolutely. And they will cover the finale on Sunday. Go back, watch the show with them all the way through. Melissa is the smartest of us, but you didn't hear that here.
It's a
And
good show.
Bailey's a better part of Luke. You know, the better half.
She's my half shell. She's the other half of my shell.
It's a turtle in a half shell.
A hero and a half shell. Turtle power.
Yeah.
So, I don't know when we will see you again for this group.
When I see you
We'll do
again.
something. We'll do something. We'll get this group back together. We'll do drinks and those things in some fashion moving forward. But
We'll
I'm
see,
not exactly sure.
Is that Jon Snow thing? Is that happening or?
I think so. And we don't know when season 2 of House of the Dragon comes out. You know, they might push it to 2024. It seems like everyone's
That's
doing
what
that.
You never know.
I'm hearing 2024, but I'm also hearing spring of 2024.
So-
like, that's from George. Like, that was George's speculation that it could.
George? Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll figure something out, but we are not going anywhere. We will be back. We love you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being along this journey with us for a bunch of noobs and one who isn't, who's Glenn. Glenn knows
I
everything.
was going to say it was me.
And Abby is not. All of us are the first time watchers in the wall on this, which has been fun. So we might do just like a full season recap. We went way longer tonight on this episode than I think we intended. So we might just do a full season recap and just hang out, you know, Q&A kind of thing with our friends here in the chat. So
the air conditioning on.
maybe with
Matt in a Gumby suit.
it's probably
Right.
it's actually probably cold outside. We should just open
we're
the
gonna
door.
finish this episode, and I'm gonna.
We're gonna
run
go outside naked.
and Benjamin Franklin.
So before you talk about Benjamin Franklin, what else does your house say? What does the house say?
You miss 99% of the shots you don't take.
And what does that house sigil look like?
A doggo with a hockey sweater on.
And what is your final thought?
It's kind of your run-of-the-mill episode, run-of-the-mill series of House of the Dragon.
How'd you feel about it as a finale?
I think I said it earlier.
You
thought
said
it was,
a little bit
it was
didn't quite live up to what you
good.
expected.
It was good. No, I don't know what I expected. It was good. It was better than the last episode, episode 9. But at the same time, it just felt like they're just teeing it up for next season.
Sure. I'm Lucan of House Blackmead. Ours is the drinker or house words. Obsidian black chalice on a golden blue checky background. My final thought is, yeah, I've heard people, and I'm calling people basically Melissa and Riley. Neither of them thought it was a good finale, and it would be a really good like episodes 7 and 8. The last 2 episodes, the last 2 episodes, like great leading up to something big. I enjoyed this because for me, it's weird because I know where the story's going. So I went with zero expectations of comparing this to the Game of Thrones TV show in general. I'm not comparing this to how they paced that show compared to how they're pacing this show. This is a whole different thing for me because I already know all of the source material. I know exactly where it's going for the big strokes. How they get there, I'm a big fan of it. I really enjoy how they're messing around with it. And it's been a good season. And I thought for a finale, we're at the precipice of something major. And that excites me. I'm excited for it. I liked where we got to. I get we don't have like the big season 9 or episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And then episode 10, let's deal with that for a little bit and then get to a cliffhanger. Because I know where we're going.
It actually is kind of a soft landing almost.
It is a soft landing, but it's also, you know that the door, like Glenn said, is open so wide now. That last view of Rhaenyra, it's fucking game on. Like this feels like all prelude to me.
It's not
That's what I
finished,
was gonna say.
but it's a soft
This is
landing.
all-
It's all
like,
prelude. So
yeah.
Benji, I will go to you next.
Well, I was gonna say go to Abby, but that's
Okay.
fine.
That's
I'll do either. What do you want,
I'll
Benji?
go.
What do you want?
Benji can be last. I'll go.
Abby, house name,
I am Gertie of House Condescension.
house words,
We don't quit.
Sidge.
It's a field of white with a raven sitting upon a black, up-pointed chevron.
What are your final thoughts
My final thoughts
on
are
the episode and season?
the season, very, very good. I kind of agree with Glenn and probably Benji. Like the last 2 episodes.
I should say episode and finale.
Okay, episode.
Because we're gonna do
okay,
we're gonna do
cool.
a season recap
So,
thing.
I'm gonna make this short. Episode wise, finale wise, whatever.
Glenn, just take it
I
off.
am
Man. Just take it
very-
off.
Not so.
Very
No, he's committed.
upset and or like loving the fact like I am so triggered by Damon. Like there are people out there like, no, like you're not seeing it. And I get that I'm fighting with them, but that's like what I think is like a good show. Like I am so brought in. I'm like, how can you not see like who he? And I know I'm pulling in personal things and my own whatever. And I know
But
it's
he
hard to.
brings you back. He brings you back.
I know that it's hard to fight me on it. And please, I want to like take an
It's not hard to fight
apology.
you. It's not hard to fight you
It's
at
not
all.
hard.
No. But I think there's some
We
people
know
in the
that you're.
chat
We know that you're right on a lot of things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there are things
that I like. They're like,
You're-
oh my
you're pulling
god,
personal
hey,
stuff
like we
and-
didn't meet. Like, I'm so triggered by Damon and like his decisions, and then people
You
thinking
got
like
10 seconds.
he's great.
Glenn's
So
gonna die.
don't die, Glenn. Not allowed. So, anyways, like that's my final thought. Like, what a good show for me to feel that. Don't count me down. Distraction. What a good show to just be able to evoke such like real, authentic emotion.
Sure,
That's all.
that's totally valid. Benji, house name,
Slive House McLean.
house words.
It's dangerous to drink alone. Drink
What's-
many.
What's your Sigi look like these days?
3 black triangles on a red balloon.
Take us out on your final thoughts on the episode and the finale.
All right. For the finale and everything, I enjoyed it. I like that it's leaving us on a soft landing. I like that, like you said, Luke, it's a prelude. It's a build up. It's a let's build to this. I am going to go through my season 1 really quick. I'm glad I joined in. I'm glad because originally I was like, fuck the Targaryens. I don't give a fuck about this. I was pissed about the show that I wanted to be made, wasn't made. And this one was being made. I'm glad I joined in on with you guys. I actually really do enjoy this one. I enjoy this show probably more than I enjoyed most of Game of Thrones, especially the later half of it. But my final thought of this season. Dead babies, dead babies, dead babies aren't much fun.
They don't come
Yes,
when you call.
this
They don't do much at all.
All right, we should stop there.
so,
We should.
We should stop there.
yes, but they did every scene that invoked so well, like the most natural thing that
Human
can happen, the most
instinct.
dangerous thing, human instinct. They did every part of it so well, every occurrence of it, and it was just good. That's a minuscule part of this whole show, but that is a big encompass. They take that part seriously,
It was,
and it was brutal.
it
but
was
it
done
beautiful.
well.
And
I mean,
exactly.
So, to finalize this episode, become a patron. You can learn more about our reward tiers at patreon.com/stayimaginary. We truly appreciate everyone who's ever bought a t-shirt from us, everyone who's given us $1 a month, $5 a month. It really does help us go a long way to keep the beer bank full. You can learn other ways to help support us and keep the beer bank full at thepodcastthat.com/support us. We can get t-shirts from TeePublic and all those things. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoEndDrinks. Send us a digital raven or a digital dragon in this episode, right? Because it's better to send dragans. I think it's-
obviously.
we gotta start sending
We can
digital
ride
dragons.
them.
Send us a digital dragon rider, a digital dragon riding
show up
friend.
here. We'll
At-
listen.
noenddrink@gmail.com. Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes and YouTube at Drawbridge Media. And until next time.
I still don't know, so I'll just drink.
And until next time, don't turn your back on the Gumby Pack.
As always, winter is coming, and so am I.
And as always, thank you all for being here. I can't wait to get naked here in the next 10 seconds. And stay imaginary.